In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now we're live. What are you making fun of me? What are you making fun of me for?
Right when you transition, I got a message. I was like, hey, I'm going to be off for a while. And then the message came back, said, okay, I'll send nudes.
What the
I
heck?
was like, oh, come on. So it's sitting right there, and I don't know what's on it.
Don't look at it, man.
Probably won't.
You don't need that right now in your life.
Wait, I thought you were supposed to be on my side.
I am on your side. Okay, you need those. We got Collin Miesen here.
What's up, everybody?
You're not supposed to look at them, bro. You're supposed to look at me.
It doesn't matter.
Now they know. They know that you know they're there.
There's no rules for all this.
There is no rules. You're right. So how long have I known you for?
Jeez, I don't know. Days, weeks, years, months?
I guess days could cover it, right? Like a lot of fucking days.
Well, see, I was here a year and a half before you, and we have the same parents, so your whole life.
So you're my brother. I think the people that know us will know that, but we have different last names. That's the first thing people are going to see.
Yep.
Why do we have different last names?
Well, man, you're going to jump right into the weird stuff, huh?
Is it weird? You act like...
To the public, maybe. To us? No, that's our life.
What if this is where the story took a turn and you're like, well, I married a girl and I thought I would take her last name?
So, I am the older brother of Will here. Will was adopted at some point in time, right?
I guess.
Right?
It's your fucking story.
Am I lying?
I don't know. No, just... all right.
We have different last names because I retained my original birth last name, and somewhere in history... Will's last name changed because he was adopted.
Yes. And
but
so
we are biological. We're like mom and dad biological, not half.
So, yeah, for the people that don't know, that's pretty much the story. We grew up together for a large chunk of our lives. You were taken out of the home first because that's how weird the system is, right?
Yep.
Where they, for whatever reason, will take one kid or multiple kids, but not all of them. There's 6 kids in our biological family. Got all taken out at different times, but there was a time where you got taken out, and then it was me and some siblings, and then I got taken out. So for a period of time, we didn't live together, and then we kind of reunited at one point, which is cool. We lived in the same foster home for like 6 months. Do you remember that? How long do you think we lived together? Because in my head it was 6 months. Was it longer?
No, it seemed about that.
Yeah. Do you ever think about like how weird it was that like we were together, and then they're like, nah, let's just split these motherfuckers up?
Was it weird? It sucked for us because at that point in our lives, we wanted to be together because we wanted something familiar, because we were tossed into a system where not every day you know where you're going to be or who you're going to live with. So we ended up together in the same home, and then our foster parents had a difficult time in their relationship, and that's what kind of tossed that one up, and they had to split us back up again.
I feel like we should talk about that. Yeah, so because I think people think, if I had to guess, people think foster care, they see movies a lot and they see like a really good home and like really troubled kids. But what I don't think people know is, yes, we were for sure troubled kids. We for sure came from a troubled home, but not all the foster families are good foster parents.
They're not.
And that one specifically was a different kind of not good foster parent. Like they were
good. No, they were good parents. Like they fed us like nutrition meals.
I don't consider them good parents.
No, but
as
far as human beings go, they had issues.
They were better than the parents we came from. But to me, they weren't good. And I'll talk about this, right? So let me say this, because I kind of want to take ownership of this. I think when I was in my bad home, I used to always like reminisce, like, damn, one day, because you would come visit.
Wait, what's your bad home?
Our home, our biological home.
Okay.
The home with Mom and Rick.
The ringing bells.
And I've talked about Rick on this podcast before, so it was just a very abusive, bad home. And I remember you would come visit. I think you lived in the FY shelter at the time, and you would come visit, and you were like, it's awesome. Like, we get to play games, and like, we do all, we have, you guys had a PlayStation, which is like, I think it was a PlayStation 1 at the time. And you were like, dude.
Not because that's old, because...
Well, that's how old the story was, but that was like, or maybe it was the 2. Either way, you're like, dude, we played Need for Speed. We have all these games. I listen to whatever music I want. I get to wear all the things that I didn't have. And then I remember.
So does everybody understand why I would even bring up stuff like that?
Well, let me tell that story, and then you can come back and fill in the blanks. Because I think the point I'm trying to say is I had this idea because of what you had said, regardless of why you said it, which you can say. I remember thinking like, damn, like one day I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to be in a home or a foster home, and they're just going to take me wherever I want to go, and they're going to buy me whatever I want, and I'm gonna get hot Cheetos with cheese and all these snacks, and I'm gonna do whatever I want. And then I remember getting put into that foster home. Obviously, I went to the shelter first as well, and then I went to that foster home with you. And I remember thinking like, damn, it's not that way at all. Like they didn't like, it was like. They were like, dude, like you gotta. I remember like one of our treats was they would buy us our Cool Whip can, and that was like they're like, you were great, and you get your own fucking thing of Cool Whip, and I was like, what? Like I want like the things that I want, like you know what I mean? But I remember it was kind of like it was for sure a reward to get those. But if you want to fill in the gap, what do you think was the reason why you said those things when you came back?
Well, hold on. That's okay. So I gotta ask, how much of this topic do you want to get into? Because this is a long story.
I mean, get into whatever you think is appropriate. I don't. If it's childhood stuff, I'm pretty much game.
Okay. Well, okay. Where do you want me to start? At what point in the timeline are you asking?
You go to because when I said you used to come back and tell me about all the wonderful things that was happening with you at the shelter, and you said, "Do you know why I said that to you?" So maybe wherever you want to start to explain that.
Okay, so let's go back to, I think I was maybe 9th grade, maybe a little earlier.
I think you're at Picacho, so I think you're in middle school.
I was just before high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was in the youth shelter in our area. That's a place where it's a short-term placement. Courts had us. Yeah, I got pulled out of the house, and that was where I ended up. There's a story before that, I'm sure. At some point, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I got to a point where I was like, hey, man, the world exists out here a little bit different than what we're used to seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gone and spent a lot of time in the shelter and then later on foster cares and whatever else. But at that point in time, we had awesome treats. I was in a government program, and I didn't know what to think or what was going to be expected of me, but man, the life was great. We had video games, we had awesome food and stuff, and I'm saying this because we didn't have that at home.
Yeah,
we didn't even have food sometimes. Like it was bad. Like,
oh no.
And I know you, and you know what, it goes further back than that, but yeah, at that point in the timeline that you're talking about, yeah, I would go back and tell you like, hey man, you have to get out of there. You have to come.
So you think that's where it came from? You're mostly just letting me know like, hey, life is better than what you have now? Because
whenever you take a step like that to ditching out of your home with your family that you were born into, that's all you know. You know, you were raised into that life sucks, and you see your peers and you're like, well, those guys' lives are so much better than ours. And then at that point you're like, this is it for me. This is what I have. This is what I'm. And we're young. We're adolescent. We're even preteens sometimes.
Yeah.
When that starts, and we don't know what the fuck to do. Like we don't know when, take a step and get out. But at that point in my life, I had already taken a step and I had already moved out, and life had taken me on into the system, and you were still there. So my way about it was to say, hey, you gotta come like to where I'm at, because there's better stuff here. And it was difficult going through it. I'm thinking about it now, and I'm like, man, this is a tough subject. But yeah, I wanted you to follow. I wanted you to, for me to walk back there and find you and grab you and pick you up and carry you away with me was difficult for me.
Well, I don't think I ever felt that way, which is why I wanted to hear your side of it first, because I don't know if you think that I thought that you were like doing it to rub it in. I never thought that, by the way.
No, not to rub it in.
Yeah, well, I always thought when you came back and told me about it, I knew that you were happy, and I knew that you were in a better place than I was at, but I never took it as like, how dare he? I was never mad at you, not even once. I remember thinking like, damn, and I'll be vulnerable by saying this, and I think it's a cool thing. I think you were a brave kid. I think both of us were. My sister, if she was here, Angela, I'd probably tell her the same thing. But I wasn't that kid while you were there. I was the little brother, and you were the brave one. And I think me and you have talked about this a lot, where it's like you took the rat for a lot of things. And so when you left, I remember looking back on it and thinking, it was a brave thing for you to do. And so when you came back and visited, and you told me about all this stuff, I didn't get mad at you. I remember thinking like, damn, like I got to get as brave as Collin was so I can get out of here too. And I didn't know how to be that person. I didn't know how to get out of that house. I guess I didn't understand, because kind of like Exactly what you had said. I remember a time in my life when I was young where I thought this is just how families are. Like when he was really abusive and we were always grounded, we were forced to do chores, all this bad stuff happened, right? They were doing
Forced to
drugs
do
in the
chores.
house. Yeah, it was like it was
That's like
bad.
a thing that most kids have to deal with.
But
yes,
but it was a different level of chores. When people say chores, they think like do the dishes and then go play your Xbox.
no,
With us, it was
we were human slaves. We were
literally. I remember living in a room with no posters, white walls, no bookshelves, no toys, barely clothes, and a box spring with a spring sticking out of it, and that's what I used to sleep on. And that's literally like, you know what I mean? And I know you remember that too.
Sometimes there wasn't even a box spring to sleep on.
Yes, and so it was bad. So when I say chores, I mean like we were doing crazy stuff around that house that kids shouldn't have to do, and we did it daily, every day, all the time, nonstop. And that's not even the beginning of the bad stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess the point of my story that I'm saying is there was this bad place, and I remember thinking, this is my life. Like, this is my life. But the other kids probably do this too. And so, I mean, I should just be really good at these chores. And then I remember hanging out at friends' houses and stuff and thinking like, well, why, like, your parents seem a little bit nicer, you get toys and stuff, but like, I guess I didn't understand that what there was happening in our home wasn't okay. I always thought like, this is fine, this is just my family. And then so when you got out and we came back, and I was like, oh shit, like this doesn't have to be my life, like I can have another life outside of there. And so that's when I first started thinking, how do I get out of this house, as opposed to how do I get really good at these chores.
And then now that I'm an adult and I'm looking back at this story, I think to myself, like, oh yeah, I know with 100% certainty how I would go about this now, because I have experience now. I'm 31 years old, so now I'm like, oh yeah, just easy. We'll just,
What would you have done?
Don't grab anything. Just leave with me.
What would you have done differently if you could go back?
If I can go back now as a 31-year-old with all the experience and
Yeah,
life that I
if
have
you could
now,
take your mind, but go back in time.
that's not an easy subject to get into. I don't know. I don't think anything would have been the same.
You know what? I struggle with this because I think of a million things I would change, right? And I think about this when people pass away too. I always go like, well, what could I have done differently maybe to change their lives? And the same way you would do that with a loved one, I do that with myself. And so I often think back like, what would I change? There's tons of things that should have been changed, but I do find an appreciation and humbleness and calmness in all the chaos. And when I think back to all the crazy stuff, like it's a genuine, unique life perspective that I'm happy to share on this. You asked me before we started doing the podcast, what is your expectation in doing the podcast? I don't give a damn if I make $1. You know what I mean? The point of it is I need to vent, talk about stuff. I think people might enjoy watching it too. And so that's what I get out of it. So yes, I would go back and think that things would be changed, but I kind of enjoy being who I am today. So I don't think I would do anything to risk that. But I do think if I could coach someone to be a better person, I think we have two parents, or at least one parent and a dude and some random dudes my mom had around and whatever that could be better. But I don't know. I don't think that either one of us did anything wrong, regardless of what we feel as siblings. I feel like if I could go back, I don't know if I'd change anything.
I think that's where I'm going to end up too. And okay, so yeah, there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of suffering. There was a lot of...
Are you in the camera, by the way? I just want to ask real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And you're a little bit far from the mic, so I'm going to put it in a little bit. Just don't forget, I feel like you're doing this a lot. That's fine.
No,
just remember to talk to the... If you're going to talk that way, then move it closer this way.
I got you. No, I can hear myself pretty good.
Cool.
So going into that subject deeper, then yeah, it was painful. There was a lot of things that a lot of kids shouldn't have to deal with. But at the end of it all, we're adults now. You and I don't live in the same house. We have our own lives. We have our own relationships and jobs, and we do our own thing. We have our own interests. But if you look at them collectively, we do what we do very well. We're not delinquent. We're law-abiding citizens. We don't do anything crazy. We just live our lives, and we learn from those lessons when we were younger. We look back and say, okay, whatever I do from here on out, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to...
So do you think they set the standard of what not to be? Do you think that's the greatest gift they gave us?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do think that. And honestly, I've gotten to a point where, things started off at such a rock bottom, like really low stuff. And like, you don't even know that you're at rock bottom because that's all you know. That's like, hey, this is my life. This is where I live. And then once you start to grow out of it and you start to develop as a human and you start learning from those other people's mistakes and your own personal experiences, you start to elevate yourself. You start putting yourself into holding yourself to a higher standard. And then now that I am where I am at, I look back and say, wow, I don't ever want to go back down there. And not to say that there's not a ton of room for improvement, because I can definitely improve, and I'm sure we both can.
Yeah.
But I can't say that. Yeah, the past sucks, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go back and change anything because I like who I am now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that person's an inspirational person. No, I'm not famous. I'm not rich, but there are people out there that actually say thank you. I learned something from you, in whatever variation. But it does suck going through it, though. If you think back to the feelings that we had when we were younger, that is not a great feeling to have.
Yeah, I think about them all the time. Especially with the people that I work with, because I work with some families that are sometimes they're in foster care of the kids. Sometimes it's the parents, and they're the ones not being so great to their kids. So it comes up for me a lot, which is I think a good thing because I feel like I've gotten to deal with it a lot more. But I do hold a sense of pride with where I've come from, and I don't think I hold back when talking to anyone, whether it's friends, people I work with, whatever it is. And so I think that I do a pretty decent job of going, hey, this is Will, this is who I am, this is where I've come from, these are the things that I've been through. Maybe I can help you, maybe I won't, but will you at least hear my story? Will you at least hear my opinion on this? And I think it holds value because I think people will snap.
They relate to it.
They'll snap a little bit better, specifically when I work with people that are in facilities, and they will be like, what do you're an insurance guy. You're just coming over here to talk to me. Like, what do you want me to stop coming to rehab? And when I tell them, like, no, man.
Hey, do you remember talking to people like that when you were down there? Like when you were dealing with all the crap?
What do you mean? What's your question?
When we were young and we were going through the system, we were
no.
Kind of stuff.
I
I remember people talking to me like, hey, I'm a professional. Like, I'm here to help you. And I'm like,
oh, I get
what the
what you're
fuck
saying.
do you know? Like, you don't know shit about me.
That's
or
the
what
reason why I
through.
don't do that. No, I get what you're saying. That was so fucking common for people to go like, dude, I know what you're going through. Or you know what I hated? I know exactly what you're going through. I hated that phrase. I would even be cool if they say, hey, I kind of can relate, or I can relate a little bit. But when people said exactly, it would trigger me. And I'm like, you don't fucking, even if they kind of did know a little bit.
No idea.
I'm like, you have no idea. I would get so hurt about it. Yeah. But
now you're that guy on the other end.
Yeah, but the difference is I know what I know, and so I can approach it differently.
But you can actually convince the person in front of you that
I don't even do any convincing. I literally just start talking. I've never once told someone, hey, I know what you're going through. Hear me out. Here's my story. There's people that I've worked with for over a year that I've never even brought my story up to because it never came up. And so it's like, that's fine. But when it's relevant, I bring stuff up. People know there's a connection, and you see it in their eyes because I've been to meet a person with another coworker that's maybe a little bit more administrative, like, hey, I'm here to do this, I'm here to do that, I'm here to provide you with these numbers kind of thing. And you can see the click or the lack of click, right? And then you could see me step in and I'll tell someone that's like suicidal. Someone told a person that I was working with, a coworker of mine at a previous job, but similar
Yes,
field.
okay.
Essentially told someone, hey, you got to stop coming in here. It was a rehab center. You got to stop coming here because like you can't just come here every time you're sad, and you should stop coming in here. And I didn't even acknowledge that person. I looked straight into that.
That was the coworker.
The coworker said that, yeah. And the person, I looked at him and I said, hey, don't listen to this guy. He's my coworker. Don't listen to this guy. If you feel suicidal, come here every single time. I don't care what he says. Because here's the thing. Yes, at the end of the day, like, should you find something better? For sure, but that comes with time. If you need help, reach out for help. If no one answers you, come here. There's tons of things you should do before you ever get to feeling suicidal or even going through with it. And I would much rather you come in here every time. But I think people don't know that. But the person that I'm telling that to will click, and they click, and they go, I don't have to say, hey, I've been here before. Let me tell you.
Hey there, pal.
They go, oh, this guy gets me. I don't know why, but he gets me, and I want to work with this guy.
So what you're trying to say is that even though the roles have been reversed, and now,
yes.
now you're part of the treatment staff. Now you're over there trying to help people that are similar to us when we were younger. Now that you're in that role, instead of saying, "Hey, I've been there," you're like, you know what? I know this face.
I just feel like people
listen up, dude. Like,
people are smart and people will know. And I remember knowing, right? Because I think back to me and I go like, well, who did I work with? I worked with Daryl. Why did I work with Daryl so well? Because I knew he got me. He never said, listen here, buddy, I get you. Like, I knew that. And so
He was
I'm
like, hey, bro, let's just go hang out and do some fun stuff.
we just hung
we'll
out.
Just
I'm
talk.
like, right.
We'll just chill.
We played basketball. We talked about family stuff. He took me out to eat, to places that I mentioned I enjoyed. He did everything to show me that, hey, I'm listening to you as a human being. I'm interested in you as a human being. And so when I do my job, I don't tell people things unless they ask or it comes up, right? It's very rare that I bring up a story of mine unless they ask me, or if they're saying something and I'll ask them, hey, is it okay if I share something with you about me? And if they say no, then I don't care. Like, I won't say it. Most of the times they go, yeah, what's up? And I tell a story. And if they're not reacting to it, then the story's over. But sometimes they relate and they go, wow, like, I'm really glad that you showed up because the last 3 guys were trying to get me to stop coming here. Sometimes they're just taken back, like, why? Why are you telling me it's okay to come here when everyone else is telling me I can't do that anymore? I'm going to listen to you. No one listens, and I learned this through car sales. Nobody listens to the person they don't trust. Even if I'm the greatest car salesman in the world, I have the best advice, I know everything about every single car. If you don't trust me, it's stupid, it's pointless, and it's nonsense. I have to gain your trust first as a human being, and then once I have that, I can tell you whatever I feel. And that is so much more powerful in a car sale. And I think that's powerful in human beings making friendships and talking to people in general, is gaining their trust and then having a real conversation. Would you listen to a stranger that walked in the room right now and said, Collin, I know how to fix your life? No, probably not.
Initially, no.
But would you listen to someone who walked in the room that you admire as an idol of yours and you look to for advice if they say, hey, let me tell you something real quick? You listen a little differently because they've earned your trust and you know, I don't have to question anything. I'm just going to value this person's
But
opinion.
can a stranger be trusted? Because you don't
You
don't know them.
Stranger, no. But how quick do you think it takes to gain someone's trust?
I feel like a human being adherently can sniff out bullshit.
You're really good at it. By the way, you recently bought a car, and this is a good example. How quickly did you know if your car salesman was incompetent?
Okay, well. All right, well.
Pretty quick, right?
I go through this often, actually. And yes, I use that. That's a tool that I use. For example, I recently replaced a truck.
Okay.
My old truck got old and outdated, and it was time for a new one. And an opportunity came up, and I sold my truck that I had for much more than I expected to get for it. So I took the opportunity, took the money, let the truck go. And then I was like, okay, well, now my lifestyle requires me to have a truck, so I got to find another one quickly.
Yeah.
So I started shopping. I got everything else, all the research done. I set my criteria. I knew what I needed to have and what I could live without, and I knew everything for the truck that I was going to be buying. And then I started shopping. And I started finding trucks that met that criteria, and I started contacting people. One in particular, it was a truck out in El Paso. So I went out there and I met with the.
Is this a dealership, a person you found online?
I thought it was a person, but it was actually. It was a. Okay, well, hold on.
Did
This
you
isn't a
get
simple
car
question.
fished?
No. So it was. I was
Someone
talking to an
car-fished you,
individual,
man.
but it turned out to be a car lot. But it was a very small car lot.
That's car fished.
I'm talking like they had maybe 12 cars on the lot. Excuse me. Their business
This
also.
is like a small dealership.
Their business also dealt with collision repair. So you can see where this is going.
You got car fished.
No, hold on.
You thought you're
No, I didn't buy that truck though.
All right.
So I get there and
because
I'm
you realized you're being car fished and you backed out.
The truck from photos and from description and from communication online via messenger with the owner, who didn't speak much English, and I don't speak much Spanish. I'm okay. So I communicated with this person. I said, hey, I'm coming down to check out this truck. So I get out there, I look at the truck. The truck's gorgeous. It meets all of my criteria. I start going through it and I start combing that thing like I would normally do with something that's that big of a purchase. So I go through it and I start noticing signs on this truck in various ways of prior collision. So I'm like, okay, this truck isn't exactly what it seemed to be in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So I started asking questions. It's like, hey, truck looks great. It's beautiful. It has all the things that I need out of a truck. But can I ask you a question? So that panel, and that panel right there all have a certain type of mark on it that indicates that it's been replaced. Because I do this for a living and I know what to look for. So they're like, oh, no, it's a clean title. I was like, well, I understand it's a clean title, and I heard you when you said it the first time. But why is that replaced, and why is that replaced, and why is that replaced? Is there a story behind it? Was the truck hit in the front? oh, I don't know. And it's like, hey, look, and they knew,
Yeah.
and I later found that out. But at the time, I was like, hey, I told myself, I was like, okay, if they give me a story behind this, these signs that I'm noticing, then I'll listen to it and I'll make my.
So if he had been honest, you would have been more likely.
If he would have been
to
honest with me,
consider it?
like, yeah, dude, like some guy like crazy like ran into a train,
Well, maybe you didn't know
but
the
it barely
details.
touched it. Like, and then I'd have been like, cool, that actually lines up. But he was lying to me. He was lying to me, and I caught him in a lie. And I said, hey, just tell me what happened. It doesn't mean I'm not going to buy your truck from you. I just want to know what happened to the truck.
Yeah.
And he just continued to like push me, and I was like,
So you pretty much
I'll be
gave him an
talking to you soon.
opportunity to earn
Like,
your
hey,
business.
I appreciate your time. Let me go talk to my lady. I'll come back and talk to you. And I left, and I that was one of many vehicles that I had checked out. But yeah, nevertheless, I asked for I asked questions. I knew what to look for,
Mm-hmm.
and they bullshitted me. And because of that, I
How do you
couldn't
know
trust
they
them.
bullshitted you? Maybe this salesman didn't know that the car was messed up.
Because
Like,
he didn't
true.
even. It's not that he told me a lie. It's that he couldn't give me a straight answer. He was. It
do you
was
think
not
do
the.
you think he
It's
was
not what he
scared?
said. It was the way he said it. It
Do you
was
think he
a
was scared
stutter.
because you were asking about something he knew nothing about, and so he was like, "No, it's fine."
No, these people were older. They knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
They were just trying to hide something from somebody that was going to buy it from
Dude,
them.
I've lied to customers because I didn't know, not because I knew and was hiding.
But did they
it.
sniff it out on you? They're like, hey, dude, I know my shit, and you bullshitted me right now.
Some of them did. I guess my point is that this person may not have known, and then when you asked him, he realized, which is intimidating. Oh shit, this person knows more about cars than I do. I don't know what to do right now. As opposed to someone going, this car is damage to it, but I'm going to pretend like it doesn't. I think those are two different kinds of people. Do you think he was intentionally trying to screw you over, or realized he may not know and you might know?
No, he
and then
was
just
trying to
winged it?
find somebody that was easy.
Did he have like a
easy
sleazy
to play
feeling?
for
Is
a
that what it
fool.
was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem like, honestly, those particular people, I can't say that I hated them because I didn't. I don't think that they were the best at, tell me what happened with this vehicle and give me the answers that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they were bad people. I think that they were just looking for somebody
Just car
that
salesman.
just wanted to. The truck was a great truck. I'm sure that whoever has it now is it's doing its job and it's being a good truck.
Yeah.
But my problem with it was I asked you a question. I need a straight answer. You have a straight answer to give me, but you didn't give it to me. You avoided it because you got caught up in the fact that, oh, this person knows more than the average person in this matter. So what I did there was I said, hey, thank you. Have a nice day. I will be contacting you real soon. I need to make a decision. Have a nice day. I left, went home, and then I saw other trucks from that point on, and then ultimately I made my decision, which was not that truck. But the bottom line is, when you're talking to somebody, and they're talking about whatever topic it is, you can sniff bullshit. It's like a human instinct, I think. When somebody's like, hey, brother, like, I know you're going through the system, but I've been there, brother. It's like, okay, dude.
I don't
for
know
whatever
if these
reason,
people
I
are
can sniff
bullshitting. No,
bullshit.
I think they maybe just have a different path, or they just are uneducated on the way things are. I think sometimes maybe what we consider bullshit is someone that's refusing to admit they don't know, right? And
Somebody that's not being transparent 100%.
yes, but I think this is different. So to me, not being transparent means I know the info, but I'm not going to let you know. There's that, and then there's the person that says, I don't know. I know I don't know, but I'm going to pretend like I do. And I think those are different people. One person's a little more innocent. They're just fake it till you make it.
Yep.
One person's intentionally trying to deceive you. That's my only point. The person who's intentionally trying to deceive you there's no place in the world for that. I mean, there is because it exists, but that kind of upsets me. But the person that doesn't know and pretends like he does, there's a sense of respect in that. Like, hey, I'm not saying that it's great, right? But
Yeah.
the person that doesn't know and pretends to know, I respect that you didn't just sit there and freeze up. I respect that you didn't just cop out and say, I can't do this. You said, like, hey, I'm going to fake it or pretend, which you also shouldn't do. But there's a little bit more respect in that than the person that's trying to screw you over because they know this car is going to break down the moment you leave. And as someone who sold cars, I know both those people. And I think they get classified as the same person, but they're not. There's the new guy or newish person who doesn't know, and there's the seasoned guy that knows but is deceiving you.
Yeah, but there's a motivation behind both types, though.
Because they want money.
They want,
What's
all
the hate
fine.
about that, man? I want some money too. But we all want to do it the right way. But so the bottom line, right, of everything you're saying, and I found this through sales as well, and through just things in life, is you do want to be honest. And you'll find that a lot of time, you will lose some sales, by the way. You will lose some friends. You'll lose some audiences, whatever it is. But if the intention is to be honest, I find personally that people react very well to that. I think it's the fear of being honest that makes someone do that. But I find that the very few times that I've said, like, hey, I don't know. Like, I don't know, but I want you to have this info. Is it okay if I ask my buddy real quick? Or, hey, I don't know that right now, but I can find out for you, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, people usually go like, hey, thanks. Like, yeah. But it's the fear of them going like, you fuck, and sometimes that happens. You idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. And in which case I'm like, I apologize again, and then just get a new salesman. But like, in those people, whatever, those are assholes, right? Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I think there's some benefit in learning how to be honest and say, I don't know. I think as a part of society today that people don't expand or explore enough, which is it okay to say I don't know?
Of course.
I think it is, but people don't really understand that, huh? They always think they need to know the thing, and it's like, just say you don't know.
Dude, I'm going through that. I'm on the other end right now. So
in what way?
Well, I'm dealing with a personal little side project outside of my day job, and it requires me to be the salesman in this scenario. So instead of being the guy buying a truck, I'm the guy selling a vehicle, and I don't know. I know a lot about cars. Like, that's my thing. I love cars. I'm all into it.
Yeah.
But in this particular situation, I don't know anything about this car. Not like I know other vehicles. Mm. So, and I've been approached with stuff like, hey, question. And it comes out. I'm like, don't have any idea, but give me 5 seconds. I will be right back with you. Let me find out. And I've had to do that. And I've done that recently. And I've gotten to a point where I'm like, maybe I should just lie about this, because, and this is fucking funny, because this is like exactly what I despise about somebody that I'm trying to buy from. Mm-hmm. Like, don't lie to me. Just tell me straight up what I need to hear. Not what I need to hear, but what the truth is.
What's going to be helpful?
Tell me what it is.
Yeah.
I'll ask a question. You give me the straight answer. And I've gotten to a point where I'm like, well, this information isn't necessarily going to make or break a deal. So I'll just give them something, you know? And then I've got to a point in the beginning, my current potential customer kind of sniffed out a little bit of that. It was something super insignificant, but I noticed that he knew.
That you didn't know? No,
I noticed that he knew that I had kept something from him. It was such a small, minor detail, but the fact that I noticed it, I'm like, oh, he caught that. He knows. So at that point on, I was like, you know what? I've been in this situation on the other end. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing that to this person. So I kept it straight with him. He was like, hey, I saw on that photo that you sent me that there was a blemish. What's up? I'm like, well, let me find out. I don't know anything about that. And maybe it's like factory that way, or maybe there's some damage there, but let me find out. And for that reason, from then on, I was like, I'm not going to bullshit this guy, because this guy knows, and I could tell he knows. So then why risk losing it all for just making one quick small lie, you know?
And how did it end up with this person?
Well, we're not finished yet.
Well, God damn it. Enough rising action.
The big day is on Saturday. We're dealing with a big.
But how does it feel so far, I guess? Like, does it feel like the things that you're saying is working?
Was
it beneficial
it's come down
to realize that and go like, hey, I'm going to be a little bit more straight up with this person?
Yeah. And it was never really an issue, since we're talking about it and I'm like trying to point at something that's, relevant to what we're talking about. Yeah. It was such a minute detail.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I registered it and I was like, hey, this is not something that I should be that type of person with. So I told him, I was like, I don't know shit about this, but let me find out for you. And I've been able to give him all the answers that he's been requesting. And we're talking, this is like it's a car deal, by the way. It's a car. And it's an exotic car. And it's one of those type of cars that we're not going to find a buyer in our local town. This is a type of car that you need to be able to expand yourself to nationwide or whatever. Anyway, but my customer is traveling to come see this car. I've had to paint an accurate photo of what this car is like. That way he knows that he's not taking a trip for nothing.
Out of city or out of state?
Out of state. He's coming from the East Coast.
Cool.
So anyway, after just under a month of communicating, it's time to meet up. So everything's all lined up. This person expects complete transparency. He's had this situation happen before. He went to go see a car that he was expecting he was expecting this, but when he gets there, it was this. It's like, okay, I'm not doing that again easily. So expect me to answer or ask a bunch of really specific questions, and I expect straight answers. And that's what I gave him. So, I mean, tying all that into human beings, you can sniff bullshit, even in the like the most minute type of way. And, you know, once you've been on both sides of it, you can kind of see how it unfolds and act accordingly.
Yeah.
I feel like there is a point in time in life, maybe, you know, in work-related situation or relationship, where it's okay to kind of bullshit your way out of it because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or because it's just not gonna. Okay, this can get a little controversial though. So
that's the whole point, man. What do you mean? Give me an example. When would it be okay?
A very common example that you see used as an example, like such a broad. It's like, oh, okay, this girl is pregnant and her husband is observing that she's large now because she's holding a child, right?
All right.
Baby, do I look good today? Absolutely, you look good.
But that's not true. Pregnant people look good.
But I'm saying not
that
everybody.
wouldn't be a bullshit though. I think it's a terrible example.
I think that you're talking about what you think.
I don't know any pregnant people.
I don't either. I don't have any children, so.
And I'll get you. So you think that a good example of bullshitting is telling your pregnant wife what?
Because if you say, yeah, babe, you know what, those pants are getting a little bit like, I'm
but
just
she
not,
knows that
I'm not
she's pregnant.
feeling it. No, but that's the thing though. She won't take it the same way.
I think she would.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna differ on that one.
Because I don't think you should lie to her and be like, your pants fit way better than before you were pregnant, because that's a lie. But couldn't you say you look beautiful?
Consider the emotional state of the other person, though. I mean, she's bearing a child. She's obviously way out of her element. She's not in the same body that she was in months prior.
But that wasn't the question. The question.
So what do? Do you say,
compliment?
yeah, you're getting a little fat there?
No, you don't do that. You don't.
That's
do that
what I'm saying, though. That's when it's okay to be like, look, yeah, you are bigger, but don't tell them that they're bigger. Just say, you look beautiful.
Think about what you said. All right, you're bigger. Don't tell them you're bigger. That's literally what you said. My only point is the comment was, you look beautiful. Can't you say you look beautiful? You don't have to say your body is the greatest body you've ever had. And honestly, like right now is your greatest body. And I'm not saying to lie, but don't you think a pregnant woman would look beautiful? And then you can say, hey, you look beautiful. I love you.
If I was to be in that situation where I was expecting a child and my lady was changing, that would be a beautiful thing to me. Because that's me. That's my scenario.
So what compliment could you give her that's not bullshitting?
That's not something that I'm prepared to understand just yet. I mean, I'm not there.
Well, I just think you could have given a better example. I feel like that one's
the example would be, is the sky blue? Well, I know that you don't like the color blue, so I don't want to like hurt your feelings. The point is, there's a point in time where bullshitting somebody might be necessary.
And it's if they think
have
the sky
you
might not
bullshitted
be
somebody?
Blue. Yes.
Recently?
All the time.
Because of why? Why do you feel the need to lie?
I don't. I think.
What was the gain from it?
So I don't have the same stance as you. I think that in a perfect world or in a better world, that we wouldn't bullshit each other and we would be honest. But here's the thing: is people have boundaries. So here's a better scenario of someone or a place where you should be able to at least bullshit, depending on your definition of bullshit, is if it's someone's boundaries. It's specifically someone you don't know very well. Say I just met. Not you, because I know you. Say I just met a person and I don't know them yet, and they're talking about things. I guess the bullshitting part to me would be not saying my full opinion about something you said because I'm trying to understand it.
Omitting.
Yeah, if you want to call bullshit anything, but I wouldn't like overtly.
That's not bullshitting though. That's waiting until you understand your situation first.
So maybe what is bullshitting to you?
Not everybody's capable of understanding the situation they go into right away.
I think that's true too. I think that I don't think that there's. I guess let me think of a better scenario where bullshitting is relevant, but I just don't like the one that you gave because I feel like you don't have to bullshit.
I feel like I used that one because I think that was the universal example. That was the one that I've heard used in other people. It's like, okay. So, but yes, I think that there is a point in time where, like, small fibs are okay. I personally don't like to lie. Like, I live my life daily in a way where, if there's a straight answer, I'll give a straight answer.
Yeah.
If there's my opinion's expected, I'll give you my opinion. And yes, you will have to kind of gauge your crowd and you say, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't just dump all this craziness on this particular crowd because maybe that's just not going to be the best outcome.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I think there is an appropriate time where a fib can be told, and it wouldn't be taken as morally incorrect, depending on the way you look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, just factor that into everything in life. It changes with every scenario.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Well, I think people lie all the time. I think lying's a part of life, and you have to like do your best to not lie. So I think I get what you're saying about the bullshitting part, because if we just truly told the truth, let's flip it, right? We've been talking so much about lying. Let's talk about just. Have you ever seen the movie The Invention of Lying?
No.
You should watch it. Everyone who's listening should watch it. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but the concept is super interesting. The main character in it is the dude from The Office, the UK version. I forgot his name.
Never seen it.
So in the movie, to give you an example, the premise of the movie is that nobody knows that lying exists yet. So they're in a world where everyone's honest. Jennifer Gardner's in it, and she's like, shows up to a blind date, and he's like, "How are you today?" And she's like, "Honestly, I'm really nervous because you're not that attractive." Like she's not allowed to lie. So little things like that. They end up sitting down at the restaurant, and the server comes over, and he's like, "Here you go. Here's your drinks." Had a little sip of that. It's because they don't know how to lie. And then this guy figures out that he can lie. But before that happens, the funniest part is these two white dudes are driving and they get pulled over. And like, fuck, the cops are here. And the cop comes over to the window, and it's Edward Norton. He's the cop. And he goes, "How's it going today, fellas?" Oh, no, the two dudes go, "How's it going today, officer?" And then Edward Norton goes, "Honestly, just happy you're not a couple of black guys. Probably would have just shot you for no reason." And then they're like, "Thank you." And it gets like deep into cultural stuff. And the main character of the show realizes, I don't have to tell the truth. I can lie. So he starts lying to get girls. He starts lying to all this stuff. And it's a cool concept. And so like we're talking about lying, but if you think about the reverse of that, think about a world where we just told the truth, right? All the time. Can you imagine a police officer that just walked up and admitted his biases like that, or his racism? The world would be chaotic. And honestly, we probably should live in a world where people take more responsibility for the way they feel. But think about the girl part of the story where she showed up on the date. Like, "Honestly, I'm a little nervous because you're not that attractive." What does that do to a guy's? Maybe they do love each other, but he never gets to that point because he feels unattractive. And so it's like, in this world, there is a place for lying, fibs, or bullshit like you're talking about. It just has to be used appropriately. And I think if your intention is good, right? If someone says like, "How do I look?" and you think that they don't look very good, it's okay to be like, "You look great. Like, I hope you kill it tonight." Because I genuinely feel that way. But it doesn't mean that like, I didn't go, I didn't like gas her up. Like, "You're a superstar. Like, God, girl. Woo! Look at you.
But
Do a circle."
But you're looking through a different set of lenses.
I'm looking at two extremes. But
Yeah.
do you get what I'm saying? I'm not saying it has to be extremes. I'm saying there's a medium where there's mixed in with some fibs, some lies, or maybe some manipulations of the situations because you value. In that situation, it's someone. What I'm saying, if it's someone you don't know yet, you have to understand that they have boundaries that you don't know about yet. So you can't be fully truthful until you know.
But that's not
your
lying,
truth
though.
may cross. I don't think it's lying either. I think it's appreciating. But I'm saying there's a place in the world for reservations, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think so?
Yeah. There's an appropriate time for it, I guess.
Yeah.
But now I've reached a point in my life where I literally want to be just like the characters in that story. I was like, "Well, how do you feel about this food?" "Well, it kind of cold. It kind of stinks, you know."
But the issue with that is it hurts people's feelings. That server's going to get hurt if you said that. Some of them will. Some of them won't. Maybe if it's cold, it won't. But if you say, like, "I hate this place and it tastes like shit and the service sucks," maybe you do feel that way. Like, that person's going to react to that. Probably. That's the only reason why we have to protect people from their own feelings, because sometimes we recognize that the truth isn't what's best for this person right now, because they need to figure out some things on their own.
But who decides what the criteria is for lying?
No one
for
does.
that type of fib.
No one does. But your intention.
So you make it up as you go.
No, your intention is to do the best, right?
So now you're talking about ethics.
I'm talking about the fact that people do their best and they'll still mess up. And that's what apologies are for, is to be able to go, "Hey, my intention was good. I didn't do so well, and I'm sorry."
Fair enough.
Don't you think so?
Yep. I need to take a break for 1 second.
Go for it. Just don't trip over anything on the way out, because we're taking one take. While he's going to the restroom, I'll keep talking about lying, because apparently it's a hot subject. Between us, I think that lying in general happens in almost every relationship, and I'm not just talking about a relationship with a person. I'm talking about a relationship with a family member, a relationship with a coworker, employer, whatever. There's times where you don't fully say anything, and if you think for a second that you don't do that, then think about the times where you called into work and you told them that you weren't feeling good. And maybe you weren't feeling good. Maybe that wasn't a complete lie, but maybe you're hungover, and that's the reason why you're calling in. It's kind of a fib or a bullshit or a bit of a lie, for being honest about it. But there's a place in the world for that because you're growing, right? And I don't think that you should go out and get wasted and call into work. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you don't think you've done it, think about that time, because I think it's common. If you've never done that, think about the time where you've complimented something on someone that you don't really like, or the thing you don't like about them. There's moments where telling someone how you feel isn't the best thing to do. And so you either don't say anything at all, which in itself is telling. If someone said, "How do I look?" and you just stayed silent, that would look pretty weird. And I think that they would come up with their own ideas, or maybe even answer their own question in their head to what they think. So I don't think you should do that. I think you should be appropriate about it and maybe do your best to tell whatever version of that you need to do to make that situation be okay. And that's how I feel about it. How'd it go?
Everything came out well.
Yeah? Was it a life-changing experience?
Now why do I feel like you're talking shit about me while
I feel like we should stop talking about lying. And that's the truth. Damn, you see what I did there?
That's the truth.
That was a segue. Hey, I want to ask you something, but if you don't want to answer, you can tell me this. I know you said that you listened to some of the podcasts before.
Yep.
But I don't know if you heard this segment. I was actually talking with Jose on a podcast, and we were talking about, he had a question about people that are in prison. Is this something you're okay talking about?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So his question was, and you could tell whatever you want, and I felt like I knew, but I guessed based off what I've heard from you and other people that I know. He was saying every time he hears, either in movies, shows, or from people about cliques, he hears about cliques, joining a clique or a group in there. He was saying, how true is that? Does everyone in there click up? And is it possible for someone to make it through prison who doesn't?
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, that's pretty straightforward. So, yes, he's onto something for sure.
Maybe before you answer that, maybe talk about like
my history.
Yes, a little bit. Why I use the restroom? Is that cool?
Absolutely. I don't know who else is going to be watching this, but if you know me already, most of you know that I have been to prison. I am a convict. Life has changed for me since then. Things are not the same. But at that point in my life, a little bit of a difficult time. That kind of ties in with the whole foster care thing. The system kind of like took me in. I was dealing with a broken home. There was a lot of not knowing what the next corner had for me. So after high school, I was still in high school. I got in trouble with the law. I was already 18. Everything took a turn for the worst. I ended up finishing high school, got my diploma while I was incarcerated, and then life continued. Ultimately, I ended up spending about 4 years of my life in prison and jail combined. So in that time, I'm 18 years old. I'm new. That's the earliest point that you can possibly go to prison is 18. I'm sure as a juvenile you could probably experience juvenile prison. That wasn't me. Anyway, I'm thrust into the system. There I am, 18 years old, fresh fish. They call you a fish.
You went to prison at 18?
Not prison, but that process started when I was 18. Yes,
I remember you being pretty young.
I was in jail. My first time in jail. I was 18 years old. I was maybe 3 months into my 18th birthday, as early as possible.
Yeah,
I'm right in there. I'm not proud of it, and things have definitely changed since then. But at that point in time, yes, I'm 18 years old. I have shit for a family, and that's not saying anything bad about you and my siblings.
No, I don't take it personally at all.
The home life was jacked,
completely
jacked. I've already been in foster care at this point in time. I've experienced the shelter, the group home, and all the other little programs that could possibly be put in front of me. But I'm an adult now. I got in trouble. It was a burglary charge. I was charged with burglary. There's a story there, and that might be for another time. Anyway, I'm
so
in
they
the,
threw
I'm
the
in the
book at
system
you
now.
pretty much, right?
I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't have any family to come say, Hey, don't worry, it'll be okay. I was pretty much by myself.
Talk about the lawyer part, because you had a public defender,
I did
right?
have a public defender. And
Which, how do you feel about
I,
those people?
well, I have an opinion that might not be as popular as the public's, but public defender pretty much means that here I am, stuff me down the meat grinder, and whatever happens happens.
I feel like
A
the
public
public would
defender
agree with
means
that.
a public defender means that you don't have any money and you can't afford a lawyer, so now you're gonna have to just kind of take what they offer you. And the public defenders doesn't always have your best interests
Do
at
you
heart.
think you would have got less time if you had a paid attorney?
Absolutely, I don't
Maybe
think.
none, right?
Okay, this is going to be a big broad subject, but yes, if I would have had a paid, and I thought about this, I put some time into this thought.
Yeah.
Like, what would happen if things were different? What happens if you had money? If you came from money? If you came from a little bit more structure? And the bottom line is, yeah, I got chewed up and spit out. That was my destiny. That's what happened to me. But here I am now, and I'm okay with it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 100% okay with it. Yeah, there was some pain and suffering involved, and some life experiences that I wouldn't wish upon anybody. But I learned from it, and it makes me a better person, and I'm happy where I ended up. But yes, having a paid attorney would definitely have made things a little bit easier. So what happens is you get a public defender. They don't have your best interest at mind. They just kind of want to process you.
Mm-hmm.
You're just another number. Let's just get you through. What's your story? Tell me briefly what your story is. Okay, the best interest here is that you're just going to take a plea offer. They're going to tell you, hey, we got a lot of evidence on you, and we're going to convict you. But if you say you're guilty now and we avoid trial, then we're going to give you less. We'll give you less time, less of a punishment, pretty much. So
And you're 18 years old, right?
18 years old, and your main focus at that point, they're talking, words are coming out, you're hearing them, but the only thing in your mind at that moment is, how do I get out of this fucking place right now?
Yeah.
Like, how do I get out of this jail? Because I don't know this place, and this is new to me. So you listen to these things. My first time in jail, my very first time in jail as an adult, and I did go in when I was a juvenile, and that also kind of ties into the original story we talked about.
Yeah.
But as an adult, the first time in jail, I wasn't there for 2 nights or 1 night. I was there for 5.5 months.
This is jail.
Jail. This is big boy jail. This is 18 and older. This is an adult. So 5.5 months I was in. At the end of that 5.5 months, there was a few different court visits, and ultimately, that day, the 5.5 month day, like the end of that
Yeah.
that little stretch, I was given an offer. They were like, well, you can sign this here and we'll just like give you probation and you'll be done. And then you can go home today. And I'm like, yeah, I want that one. I want the one that I can go
Yeah, I
home
want to go
today.
home.
Yeah. Do I want to
Yeah.
fight this? Do I think there's a fight? Yeah, absolutely. I think I could have fought that. Excuse me. There was, but they don't tell you, like, yeah, if you fight this, the evidence is stacked in your favor. Like, you can possibly just get out of all of this.
So your attorney suggested that you take the plea deal?
Yeah, they don't
public
give a
defender.
shit about what happens to me. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't get paid any different if I get off scot free or if I end up going to jail. They get paid the same. Their
Yeah.
job is to be a free representative. So I'm like, yeah, I want the one. I want the whatever. Give me whatever it takes to get out of here today.
Yeah.
5.5 months later, I go home, and then there was some very strict rules that were placed above me that said, hey, probation exists now. You're now going to have to report to somebody. You're going to have to piss in a cup. You're going to have to be on your best behavior, and they're gonna like be monitoring your life with a microscope. Like, you're pretty much out of jail, but you're still in jail. Okay, I understand that now. So that didn't last long. I ended up botching that one pretty bad because I was a college kid, and college kids like to party. So anyway, going to the prison part. Yes, I went to prison, and I was there. It was a probation violation. Original sentence had been violated, and now they're like, okay, you had your shot. Now you go to prison. So I went in. That was a whole new experience. Like, the whole 18-year-old Collin going into jail at 18 years old plus 3 months, and then spending 5 months there. That was a shock. It was like hey, welcome to the real world. Now you're in
So
jail.
you're saying the 5 months was a shock to you?
It was.
You get released, you're on probation, you violate probation, now you're back in court, I'm assuming, and they're
Yeah,
like, hey,
it
I'm just
starts
sending you
all
to
over.
prison.
Mhm.
So the moment the judge says you're going to prison, what are you feeling like?
I feel like, man, I've been doing this shit for 5.5 months now. Like, I already have experience in this, but it's not the same. It's new.
So, but you're saying
you automatically
in the moment you were like, I can do this?
no. I automatically I was like, my life is ruined. I was like, there's nothing for me.
I got you.
No, I was like, in the back of your mind, you're like, well, if this situation happens to somebody that has already got 5.5 months into a jail sentence, and all of a sudden they're presented with, here's prison now. It's like, you would think, like, oh yeah, this guy's been doing this for 5.5 months. He's good. He can get into this. But no, it was like it started all over again. Like everything just kind of reset. I was all of a sudden back in there, which was not a shocker. It was not a new feeling. Being in the jail, saying, okay,
What was your sentence?
I got sentenced to 6 years.
And then how does that work?
If you behave yourself, you do less time.
About, if you had to guess,
Half.
good time is half, right?
Half for my situation, it was half.
So you knew you were doing it, best case scenario, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're just dealing with this.
Yes.
Okay.
So
when you're getting
years,
booked into prison, you're going, I did 5 months. Now I'm about to at least do 3, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and then at the time I was 19. This is the following year, and yeah, I'm like, fuck, man, like this is new. I'm not like I'm not big on socializing. I didn't at that point in my life. I hadn't been part of any like crazy high school groups where I was like the popular guy. I was just that guy. I was from a broken home. I was from a foster home. I was so anyway, I wasn't ready for it. Like it just like fell on me. And yeah, it was traumatic. I spent a lot of time crying, and whatever
Like
that
in
means
prison?
to everybody now. Yeah, absolutely. There's no way in hell I can deny that I shed some tears, wondering about
Like
what
getting
my life
booked?
could have been like.
Or do you mean like at night? When do
No.
you have time? I guess I'm trying to picture.
No. When you first go in, like, yeah, there's a process you go through.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of time locked in little boxes for hours on end with fucking chains across your ankles and your wrists, and I spent a lot of time cuffed. And you sit there, and you're upset. You're like, this sucks. I'm in this situation, and then you start. Your life flashes before your eyes. Like essentially, you're like, well, what now? What happens after this? Like my life is done. Like I'm screwed. Like this is it. I'm always going to be tagged as the convict. I'm always going to be tagged as that guy. And so I'm young. I'm in the system, and yeah, I wonder like, well, what happens if I would have had a different set of parents? What happens if I would have been at a better school, or if I would have been in a better situation altogether? And then you get upset. You're like, I shouldn't be here. This isn't my life. I didn't even do anything bad. I didn't do anything that I thought was bad. I didn't do anything that wasn't justifiable. And the bottom line is nobody hears you, and you're by yourself. So you can sit there and cry about it for the duration of that sentence, or you can come to terms with it and say, what am I going to do now? Like, here I am. Am I going to stay here and just cry about it the whole time, or am I going to try to better myself? And I chose the second. I chose to better myself. The prison story is a long story. Like that, there's a lot of detail there.
Before you get into all that, did you consider? A lot of people, and again, correct me if I'm wrong because I wasn't actually there. I feel like a lot of people that get in there, they're kind of like, I'm gonna fight this. They fucked me over. I'm gonna learn law. Like, did you consider that first thing where you said like I'm gonna cry about it and like tell everyone how I'm innocent?
Books.
Or like, did you ever think that you would do that, or did your mind go to like, hey, this is my life. Like I'm gonna finish this and get out and just focus on when I get out? Do you think that your brain was more of, I'm going to get out early, or I'm doing my time and then that's just when it is?
No, initially I thought that I was going to appeal my situation, and then somehow miraculously they were going to open the door and let me go home early. Yeah. Because like, oh yeah, we were so wrong, Collin. Like you're not supposed to be here. Let's let you go home. And I thought for some reason that I was going to be able to find the easy way out. So yeah, I spent a lot of time reading books and talking to the right people and communicating with law offices, and wondering if there was anything I can do to go home, to get out of there. And the bottom line was there was no chance. There was absolutely no chance in the beginning. And then our state in particular isn't the best organized for the judicial system. So anyway, I went ahead on to the next phase, which was, what do I do with the time that I'm here? You meet a lot of people, and by the way, the world inside of the walls is not the same as out here. There's no I've got to be appealing to everybody in the public's eye. There's no social media back then. It wasn't much. It wasn't that long ago. I think it was under a decade before since the final, right? So
Since the what?
since I finaled, since
you got
it
out?
ended, yeah, since everything ended.
So you've been out for over 10 years.
No, less.
It's been less than 10 years?
Yeah, it's kind of cut up a little bit more. There's more to the end of it, but at that point in time, I'm 31 now. When I went in, I was 19, 20, and I spent. I got out when I was 23.
Yeah.
So yeah, about 4 years. But when you're in there, you don't think about the same things. You don't think about who's the president or what's going on in the outside world. Like when you're in there, you have a routine. It's like its own little individual world, and the only outside communication you have is mail and whatever short phone calls you get. So anyway, I spend time trying to better myself. Okay, when you're in there, you have it. Everything's divided. You're divided by unit. You're divided by how bad of an offender you are. Like people that are in there for like dirty, nasty crimes like child abuse and like molestation and stuff like that.
Do they have their own spot?
They're completely outcast. Like if they're anywhere near, I'm trying to remember the terms that they were using. Like
so what would be, while you're thinking of the terms, what would be? So do they call them pods in prison? Mm-hmm. So you're in pods, right? So kind of break down the hierarchy, and then within that pod, there's what?
No, okay, you're looking at, it's different per facility, but yes,
we'll talk about the one that you're in, because I guess I'm trying to mentally
picture so there's a giant facility, and
okay.
they're broken down into smaller segments because they want to kind of govern those segments individually, so that way nobody. So they don't want everybody being all together.
Is a giant room full of smaller rooms, right? Is that? Can you paint a picture for me what it looks like if I were to visit there?
The world that you live in is your unit. So yeah, it's
that would be your giant room.
It'll consist of 100 people probably.
And then individual cells. Is it ever in the movies? It's always bars. Is it not bars?
If you've seen movies and you see prison movies, it's not what you see. That's
why I'm asking.
That's a general.
So it's a room
painting of what the real thing is like, but no, it's not like the movies.
So it's a room, tons of rooms.
You have a day room.
How many people would be in? Well, there's a day room. I think we understood that part. How many people would be in an individual room? Average.
I've been in situations where one cell housed 4 people.
Okay.
That actually had a structured bunk, and then in certain cases when there was an overpopulation, they would have multiple people in that cell that didn't have a bunk, that were just kind of laid out on
the floor
on boats. They called them boats. They had like a plastic bunk that they just like slide in there, and then like there's a mattress on there. Like here's your bed, your guys are on the floor, and then there's the 4 main bunks. So anyway, yeah, you can stuff however many people you want to in one of those cells. Mm-hmm. What they don't want, what the facility does not want, is conflict. So they don't want to be putting like a lot of people in there that are from like rival gangs or something, or from. They don't want people to be in there killing each other. Yeah. They want peace.
So what happens if you get a roommate that's a fucking asshole, or he smells bad, or farts in his sleep?
Oh no, that gets addressed immediately. Like, hey dude, you better fucking scrub your ass.
Who decides who addresses that?
Whoever wants to take charge.
If you smelt the fart, you tell him.
If you're offended by it, you will.
Or is it like someone came up to you like, Collin, get this dude out of here? That's your job.
That I've been put in that situation, and I've had to handle it accordingly.
So it just depends on the situation.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. There's no rules for that. It's if you stink, I'm like, dude, you fucking stink.
Yeah.
Like you need to like not stink right now.
And
if you do want to stink, then you need to go somewhere else with that, and then they have choices at that point. Yeah.
Do they though, or do you kind of just?
Nah, they have choices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They can either leave, like push. There's a comm button in every cell. There's a little button and a little speaker, and stainless steel, and it's very flush to the wall. If you have a problem, you push that button. A CO, which is a correctional officer, will come on that speaker and say, "What's up?" And you say, "I gotta go. Like I can't be in this room. I'm in danger."
So I'm assuming,
like they'll say whatever they want to say, and then the CO will be like,
if you're
All right, and they'll send a cop in there, and they'll open the door, and they'll let you out, and then
So
they'll
if
take
you're-
you to another.
if you're about to fuck up one of your roommates, I'm assuming there's a dude that stands in front of that button, huh?
there it is.
Isn't that like? I'm
like-
just thinking about where my mind would go if I'm about to
yeah.
fuck my roommate up. I go, hey bro, stand in front of that button, and
Yep.
then I would tell him something.
They tell you better fucking roll it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
you saw them roll it up.
What if someone hit the button? Does it make it worse for them? Like that bitch
Yep.
ass. Do they tell everyone in the
They
prison like that dude
will
hit his button?
they'll immediately get tagged as a little bitch, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like you're a bitch. Like if they say like I don't give a fuck if I stink or not. Like what's up? And then they'll stand up and fight with you. Like that's one thing.
Yeah.
That means that they don't. They're not desirable by any means if they're still stinky. Like you have to have good hygiene in there. But if they stand up and like man up and be. Like
Yeah.
hey, like you're challenging me. I'm gonna square up with you. Like they get respected a little bit differently. They get respect. And then if you're like no, I don't want trouble. I'm out of here. Like push the button and leave. Then you're labeled as a little bitch.
What if they did a combination of both? They said, hey, I don't want trouble. I'll start showering. Does that person still get labeled as a bitch?
No, that's good. That's where you want to be.
Yeah.
Like hey, you know
So
what?
you
You're
wanna
right.
follow the rules.
Like hey, you know what? I'm in a traumatic situation. I'm
So
in
let's get back
I'll
to
take
the-
care of it. Don't worry, I'll scrub up.
Let's
and then
get back
you're like,
to
yeah,
the-
you're good. And
Let's
then
get back to the clicking up part. So can you talk about that? What does that look like? And what does that even mean? And how important is it really?
when you go to prison, you're confronted with the people that are already there. Typically, already have established themselves in whatever group they belong to, and those groups will include hometowns, race, other variations of gangs. Right. So, a lot of times you say, "I'm in the state of New Mexico." There's 3 or 4 metropolitan areas, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Las Cruces, Farmington, and then you got smaller little.
I don't know if I'd count Farmington.
It's third largest. They're bigger than Santa Fe.
Are they?
Yep.
Jesus Christ. I gotta
So
get out of
anyway.
the state.
So you're in jail, right? And then everybody's like, "Where's my Farmington boys at? Where's my Albuquerque boys at?" And the Burque boys will get together. Anyway, then you got big giant prison gangs that belong to the people that have been there for a long time.
Do sometimes these prison gangs have nothing to do with anything? It's like we're the
Nah, they're
Where they,
exclusive prison.
we're the painters, and like only painters hang out in that group.
Nah, it's
Like what would a group look like that doesn't belong to a race or a city? Can you think of one?
yeah, they belong in the church.
There's a church group. I guess that makes sense too. So there's a religious like.
No, I've personally gotten to a situation where I'm like,
Wait, there's a group in prison that's like a church group.
I've gotten to a situation where I had to roll somebody out. So I went and took care of my business. I jammed them up. I was like, hey, you're not welcome here anymore. Grab your shit and go.
Yeah.
And what that means to them is pack your shit up, tell the CO that you don't feel safe here anymore, and they'll take you somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they'll put you in another facility, or they'll arrange transport. They'll put you in a lockup situation for, I don't know, until they arrange transport, which could take a month or 2.
Yeah.
They'll be in segregation, like in the seg units, which we call the hole. So they'll get thrown in the hole. Anyway, and then that one person in particular, he kind of screwed up, and I ended up taking him aside and said, "Roll it up, dude." He didn't want to roll it up, so I had. So who's gonna watch it? I whooped his ass real quick. I busted him up pretty good, and I said, "No." I told him initially, like, "Hey, roll it
Did you
up."
have someone guard the
I was
button?
like, I saw him roll it up and get out, and he's like, "Well, I'm not leaving," and I'm like, "You're fucking leaving!" Like, like it was sad. So I was like, "No, I was like, dude, you're putting me in a situation by making I'm the one here
Yeah.
in front of you because that's what was that's what the arrangement was from that other end." And I was like, "Grab it up and go, like, or you're gonna have problems." And then he didn't want to leave, so I whipped his ass pretty good. There was blood, but
Was this like in
your
your cell? Where were you at?
It was in a common unit. It was, yeah. I was in his little area.
So you went to his area, confronted him. He didn't want to leave, and so you fought him wherever he was at.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
then what happened from there?
I socked him up, and then I was in the wrong unit, so I socked him up and said, "Grab your shit. You better be gone by the time I come back." And I socked him up, and I pulled my beanie over my face and like walked back to my unit, which was across the facility.
Yeah.
I was on the verge of getting locked up because I was in the wrong part of the building.
Mm-hmm.
I had it was a security issue. So I got back, and he ended up leaving. He rolled it up, and then I saw him at another facility at a later date, like a year later, and he was a porter for the chapel, which means his job was to do whatever the priest.
A different facility, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, they'll move you around the state.
So you got moved, and he happened to be there.
I got moved because a facility needed population. Like they had opened a new facility, and that facility, they kind of just started grabbing, like, let's just take these 20 people from here, and then let's take 20 people from this facility.
So you
they
got
started,
moved over there, and
they just started
he was
shipping
already
people out.
there.
Oh yeah, it'll happen all the time.
Yeah.
So I got shipped up to another facility, and I saw him there. I'm like, "What's up, bro?" Like, yeah, jam up. He's like, "Oh, we're cool." Like, I'm not all about that shit anymore. Like, I'm just working for the chapel. So the chapel, when you work for the chapel, that means that.
Wait, because I didn't understand this. Why did you roll him out in the first place? Because he wasn't. What did he do wrong?
That's controversial.
All right.
Especially by today's standards.
So when he said I'm not about that anymore,
he claimed representation of a certain group, right? He was involving himself with a certain group, and that group did not tolerate certain behavior, and he was taking part in that behavior.
And so that's why that happened. So when you saw him at this other place and he says I'm not about
he
that
wasn't
anymore.
part of that behavior anymore, but he didn't.
Okay.
But he knew that he had already been tagged. He knew that he already had a certain blemish to his name, so he didn't mess with anybody. He didn't take part in any groups. He went about his daily business.
He went to the chapel.
He worked out in the gym. He went and ate his meals at the chow hall. He had a few people in his little group, like also, and those are the people that just kind of don't want any part in the majority population. Like they don't want to be part of the prison, the lifestyle. Like they don't want to be part of the prison culture. They just kind of like, I'm just here. I got to deal my time and I got to leave. But being part of that group can also make time hard for you because you're part of a group. You're looked at by all the other groups as a certain type of person, and some of that stuff will carry on when you go home. Like when you go out and you're free, they'll know that you're a certain type of person. Now, at present, I live a lifestyle now where that stuff is gone. It's long gone, way long gone. And I look at it now and I think to myself, how ridiculous is it? Like the whole governing system behind prison groups. It's like, yeah, you do it because you want to be remembered as a gangster. You want to be remembered as like a hard dude, like you had your shit together, like you were somebody. But looking back at it, I'm like, that's stupid. Like that's so stupid.
So what was the issue with the chapel? You mentioned like I asked you if
that's
you
where you go when you want to be protected. Like when it's not.
So
that
was his group.
You're not safe. But it tells everybody else, like, hey, I don't want any shit. Like, I'm just a little bitch. Like,
so
let me be a little bitch.
Who makes it through prison without clicking up? How often does that happen?
Old people, like super old geriatric type of people, typically will not be part of anything. So the other prisoners will go like,
just leave that guy alone.
If you walk in that prison door, like they're like, hey, you're going to prison. Bah, here you go. Bah, in prison. Excuse me. You walk through that door. Everybody else like turns and looks at you and they're like, here's new people coming in. Who are they? What are they about? And they start checking you. They want to know where you belong. They want to know if that you belong with them or with the next group over there, or they want to know what you're in there for. Like, are you here because you raped somebody? Because that's bad. Like, they won't even put you in there. They'll be like, oh, this guy's.
But I'm assuming people don't even.
But they're like, oh, you're in here for doing drugs or like dealing drugs or robbing somebody, or like they call those like, I don't even remember the term they used, like good charges or bad charges. Like they want to know that you're not there for like some crimes against like humanity.
So
like,
who makes it through like without a label or without a click? Like what kind of person?
Old people.
That's it. Could someone like me go to prison and
No.
the Aryan Brotherhood?
I tell you exactly.
Click with me, and I go, no, I'm good. And then the Crucis people are like, click with me, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
You're gonna walk. You're white. You have a red beard. You look white. Like when somebody sees you in public, that dude's white.
Would I be allowed to hang out with the Crucis people?
Yeah, I think that would be
those are my only two options.
Now, I actually have friends that are very.
Could I join the chapel?
Have at it. So you can go.
Want to know my options, man?
You can go
if I
into
to
jail,
prison.
and I can tell you right now, as soon as you walk in, the white people will see you and like, that dude's just like us. He's very, very white. Like he's.
What
like,
happens? To
and they're
the
gonna try to
people-
jam you up, and they be like, "Hey, where's your heart?" Like they're gonna check. They're gonna heart check you. They're gonna make sure that you're able to stand up for yourself.
But
and
what
stand
if
up
I
for
don't?
everybody.
Here's my point. Is what if
Then-
the Aryans are like,
then they'll
"Hey,
run-
you're my guy, and I'm a bitch," and then I go to the Crucis people,
Yeah,
and they're like,
your
"That's my
chapel.
boy," and maybe I say something stupid, like that guy doesn't have boundaries. Maybe I go to the chapel and I fart, and so like you can't be part of the chapel, like, and so what do I do then?
It's not like that.
Like, is my life over? How do I survive if I can't be in the chapel, Crucis, or Aryan?
Well, you can. If you are confronted by a group that sees you fit to be in their group,
Like the
and
Asians.
they check you,
I feel like the Asians will want me.
if they check you and you're not, and you like bitch out, then you're labeled. All of a sudden, word will travel. And by the way, we're talking about a very primitive system. Like you're stuck in this system where that facility, that geographical location, in that facility, word gets around via talking to people. That's it. Now, for somebody in a whole nother facility across the state to hear about it, like you would think that was unheard of. Like, oh, how'd they get word over there?
Yeah.
Oh, it gets around. It'll get around. So once you kind of like, and this is crazy because whenever I first went in, I was like, whoa, what's gonna happen? And they're like, well, when you get there, they're gonna check you, and then you're gonna have to fight. You know, like you're gonna have to stand up for yourself. And I was like, oh my god, here we go. And then you get there. And then you get there and you're like expecting something to happen, but
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. You're like, whoa, okay. And then one day something crazy pops off right in front of you, and you're expected to behave a certain way. You're like, do I want to be? You have to ask yourself, do I want to be remembered as like a tough guy that can handle his own shit? Like if somebody calls you a little bitch, what are you gonna do about it? Like if somebody tries to take your food from you, what are you gonna do about it? And you're expected to behave a certain way. If you don't behave a certain way, then you're like outcasted, you know? You're like, oh,
So what
they're
happens?
gonna
to those
take your
outcasts,
stuff
though?
from you. Like, oh yeah, like the old people, they're like, oh, I don't want any trouble. And then typically, people will get their way with like, give me your food, or I want that. Like
So you pretty
anytime
much
you get that, I
have
want
to
that.
click up, is what you're saying. If you want to survive longer than
It's all about perception.
months.
As I look at it now, I'm like, oh, it's stupid. I'd have fucking busted everybody up. I would have fought everybody I could, told them all, fuck you.
But
I'm not part of your shit. I'm out.
Can you
Try
think of a
again.
younger person that didn't click up that did okay?
Nah, when you're young, you always get fished into one of the groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a weird situation to take a human being, specifically a kid, which you were when you got arrested, and then take him from a situation where he has no structure, right? Which you would agree with that we had none as a kid.
Not at
And then you put him in a facility. Not that the transition was seamless, right? There's other things that happened in between. But you take a person or a child that had no structure and you put him in the place that probably has the most structure in the world. You would assume that transition is going to be a little rough and that person's going to fail at that. Or at least have a hard time with that. At least I would assume. Don't you think that's a weird jump from someone that had nothing
It's
at
definitely
all?
broken for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole system does not work.
What do you think would work?
It's supposed to vary by person. So my situation in life is unique. It's
If you were a
like anybody
politician
else's.
and you would have the experience that you've had and you're like, hey, prison isn't successful. And they go, what's your idea,
This isn't
Collin?
the first time I've had to think about this.
What's your idea to save the world? And you go, instead of prison, how about...
My opinion on this matter is going to be a little bit different than what you might expect. I was part of the system. It was a broken system. It does not work. But I am a success story coming out of that. It doesn't work. I think it's bullshit. I think most people are destined to failure. Personally, I did not fail. I crawled right out of that hole and made something of myself. But I feel like for the average person that goes through there could be other ways for them to succeed. I think the penal system is designed to isolate certain types of people. For example, if you're an offender, you have a charge, you have a felony, you go to prison. When you get out, they expect that you'll return. Why? Because you already show a pattern of it. You're gonna return. Like, oh, you're a druggie. you're gonna come back. Like
Yeah.
we'll see you soon. Like, hey, go on home, go take care of your business, go get go visit your family and go get some, and then we'll see you back soon. Like they expect you to return because they're trying to isolate that type of person from the rest of society. And because of that, they want to, instead of saying like, hey, look, dude, you screwed up, and if you keep following along the same path, you're going to keep screwing up, and then you'll go nowhere. So let's just put you over here and give you an education and give you a job and like try to help you figure out how to live life the right way. And they don't do that. They just say, go to this program. Like, you have to, or we're going to lock you back up again. And like, they like kind of set you up for failure.
Yeah.
And you know, as well as I do, that even me, as well off as I am now, I fell a couple of times since then. It's not uncommon. That's how it is.
Yeah. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it at all, which is why I'm glad that you talked about it. And on a previous podcast, I talked about how I'm always like one of the first people to admit I've done some things that are arrest worthy and I just didn't get caught for. But there's this weird labeling thing that society does to where if you're a criminal, you're bad. And if you're not a criminal, you're good. Right? At least basically. And then we break those down. All right, now out of all the non-criminals that are good, this guy is kind of rude. So now he's out. He's bad. He's bad, but out of the good people. Like a person that's an asshole that's not a felon gets looked at differently than the person that maybe is a felon but that is a nice guy. Because society, we've broken it down. Like no matter what you do, even if you're an asshole, if you don't have a felony or a criminal history, then those guys are worse. For whatever reason. That's just the way it goes. I don't agree with that. But that's the hierarchy of it. They go, all right, these people are criminals, so they're low. They're low. Mm-hmm. These people over here, we can start breaking these down. These guys are assholes out of the good people. These guys, you know what I mean? And then you get the great people. But I think people forget that, like, that's stupid. You can't do that. You can never...
Work.
It doesn't work like that, and it shouldn't work like that. And if there wasn't labels, half the greatest people that you know... You would like if you found out they were criminals, you'd be like, what? How many times? And you could tell me if you've ever experienced this. How many times have you told someone about your past and they go, wait, what? You were this?
More common now than ever before.
Yeah.
The reason why is because as time goes on, it becomes more and more distant in my past, right? So people that have known me for a decade plus, they know everything. I've never.
Have you ever had anyone change their opinion of you? Like maybe they thought Collin's awesome, and then they heard that and they go, never mind.
I've had people say, no. I think for the most part, the people that are super surprised, they learn about this kind of stuff so far after we've developed a relationship, to where I can literally tell them like, hey, yeah, by the way, this is a thing about my past. Like, this is my life. By the way, the person that you know, that's me. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm okay. Don't worry about it. And a lot of times they're like, cool. Like, that's still crazy. Like, I would never have guessed. And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm going for. Like, I want to get through the rest of my life not being known as that guy. I don't want to be known as a prisoner. I don't want to be known as a number, or a ward of the state, or a foster kid. Like, just know me as the person that you met me as, and what I've been in your life, you know?
Yeah, I think that would be the best way. I think people should do that. There's this project I was watching a video on, and it's different than what we're talking about, but it's similar in this way. They took 6 people, and these 6 people, and I really hope I'm not quoting it wrong, I believe they were all Muslim. They're for sure all Middle Eastern, but I want to say they're all Muslim. And they put them in a room, these 6 people, with the lights off. And they were sat down in a chair. They brought it was part of a study. They brought each person in, and they let them have a conversation for an hour. And they just talked about stuff. In the dark. And one guy was like, hey, I'm this, and that. I think there was a girl, and a girl said this. Either way, they all talked, and they made friends. One of them said, I'm a doctor. I think one was like, hey, I'm a doctor. That's cool. They talked. One of them said he was like in a punk rock band. And like, whoa. And they judged them off what they heard.
But not by what they see.
Exactly. And then they turned the lights on, and I wish I could physically show you right now, but it's funny because they all heard these stories and came up with conclusions, and they all looked really different. Even though they're all the same culture, one of them was completely covered in tattoos. Face, he's bald dude, head, covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
And when they saw him, they're like, they could hear voices on what part of the table they came from, and they were like, I thought you were like, looking at you now, you look like the punk rocker. The guy that was in the punk rock band was like a dude in a suit, and it was weird. Like nobody fit what you think they would fit, but they genuinely got to hear verbally what a person is, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they visually saw them, it didn't match up, but then and let them realize who the person really is. So I think that this symbolism there is what I'm going for, which is if you can get rid of all the things that you think, right? Whether it's from what you know or whether it's from what you visually see, and you genuinely got to know a person, a human being, I think we could, as a society, figure out what that person's intent is. I think we assume what their intent is based off our biases. And I've talked about this in a previous podcast, and I'm guilty of this. I'm not a huge Trump fan. So when people say Donald Trump, my mind goes racist, bad president, that's dumb. Whatever they're saying. Like, if you were to say Donald Trump, I stop listening. I already racist, not that good of a president, not a good human being. I think of all those things.
Yep.
So I forget. So it could be something that's legitimate. Hey, Donald Trump made a bunch of contributions to this charity and it saved this kid's life. Maybe he did. Maybe he's also an asshole that gives money to a place that kills people, right? But I'm not even hearing your thought on that thing because I now have this preconceived notion that I think he's this. Or maybe he's a good businessman. It's a common one that people say. And I'm guilty of this. My brain will go like, but at what cost? Like, you know what I mean? So and the metaphor here is that if I can find a way to put that to the side, I think I can get a better understanding of who he is as a human being. And I think we can do that with anyone we meet. And if they did a study and they go, hey, I'm about to bring a felon in here, and that's all they say and walk away, they bring someone in, I think that conversation would go very differently than if they go, hey, I'm bringing this person in and I just want you guys to talk. Mm-hmm. And I think they could compare them, and the reactions, emotionally, physically, the distance thing that people get when they don't trust someone, the little comments they make, there would be a difference where you go like, wow, this person knows a fact, or at least they think they do. They didn't ask any questions. They were just told this person's a felon, and they would act this way towards him. And this person, with the same exact person, felon, whatever you want to label them as, but we didn't give them any labels. We just said, hey, I'm going to bring this person in and I just want you to talk to them. I think the conversation goes two different directions. I think that would be a very fun study or project to do, because I think it will point out that once you know something about someone, it changes the way you perceive them. And I take this in the fact, when I go visit a person that I'm working with at my job now, I can see everything about them. Not everything, but I can see if they have a history of going to the ER. I can see what their mental health is. I can see if they have a history of substance abuse. And these are all things that you would think I want to know. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think that I want to know them too. But I started finding that if I go to see this person, I have this preconceived notion of what that person is through my own biases, even without my own choice. So I stopped looking at it. And I don't like to know anything. If someone says this person needs you, I go, cool. What's his name? Where's he at? What's her name? Where's she at? That's it. And I just want to go, because if I'm going to figure these things out, it's going to be because they told me, because I don't want to go in thinking this person's a bipolar, schizophrenic, heroin user who's been to rehab 30 times and has tried to kill themselves. I don't want to treat them as that person. I want to treat them as a human being, because that's all I know them as. If they want to tell me about those things, then I'll now know their version of it, which is exactly enough that I need to know to continue to treat them like a real person. And so I stopped doing that. That's not how life works. We kind of know facts about people, but I think if we can take the approach of, can I genuinely take an opportunity to get to know this person as a human being, I think that I can really see who they're trying to be and who they are.
You know, that's how a jury works, right?
Is it, though? I think it's how it should work.
No, a jury is supposed to be unbiased. They literally will select a jury in a trial situation based off of peers, of people who will not look at them for what most other people know them as. They say, hey, just look at this situation from an outside perspective. Like, try to be.
Do you think that juries get it right?
Nah, I don't think so. No.
So do you really think that that's their intent? I never thought about that.
I've been to jury
Is that
duty.
true, though? They look for people, because I don't know.
Yeah.
They look for people.
Jury is supposed to be specifically for an unbiased audience. They want people that are unfamiliar with anything relating to a case.
But I think that's the attempt,
to
right?
look in on it.
So if they reach out to me and they say, hey, you're needed for jury duty, and I say, what? Like, okay. Like, oh, there's a murder trial. And I go, oh, I actually, like, research murder a lot. I don't think I'd be a good fit.
No, okay, you're looking at it on that technical aspect. It's supposed
I
to
guess
be.
how do they know if I'm biased
Okay,
or not?
who is the most famous person that you think most people in the world would ever have heard of?
O.J. Simpson.
Most people in the world?
Yeah,
Okay,
he's pretty famous all over the
why do
world.
we know? How do we know OJ? Football or murder trial?
Well, I know him as both, but I think
Okay,
statistically most people know him for the murder case.
okay. Let's say OJ Simpson is this massive, like, giant football star he's just the biggest name in football. He's a star. He's stats are up like through
He
the
was
roof.
a star, but he wasn't the
Yes.
biggest name.
But and all of a sudden he gets caught up in a situation with the law. He killed somebody, or he was accused of killing somebody.
Isn't that
And
the
then all of a
perfect
sudden,
example
this-
of how you can't find an unbiased jury?
Exactly. Well, so hold on. So this whole thing starts to unfold. Next thing you know, O.J. Simpson's on trial, and they're like, "We need some people here to judge this situation with an unbiased perspective." So they say, "Excuse me, sir. We need you to be in jury. Like you're being selected for jury. Have you ever heard of our defendant?" He's like, "Yeah, that's O.J. Simpson, the freaking football star. I love that team." Well, this guy loves O.J. Simpson. He loves the team. He loves the player. So all of a sudden, now he's being accused of murder. So, sir, did he commit this murder based off the evidence that you saw? Well, in his mind, he's like, "Well, I love this guy. This guy is my football star. Like he's my football hero." So, no, I can't see that. I can't see that because he's blinded by his football star and not the fact that this person is indeed a human being who is capable of doing something like murder.
Yeah.
So, a jury is supposed to be selected by an unbiased audience. It's supposed to be like, "Hey, do you know this person? No? Great. Cool. You make the cut. Let's get you on to the next segment, and then we'll figure out if you have any opinions about hitting law enforcement officers in the face."
Yeah.
Like they'll start tearing it down a little further. But a jury is supposed to be unbiased,
I get
which
that
is
that's the
difficult
intent.
for like.
But it's not really, because there's not really a way to be completely unbiased. Maybe I can be unbiased in the sense that I don't know who you are. I think that's the most they can get right. Maybe they don't even always get that one right. But I think the reality is, if I was abused by my father when I was a kid, and I'm on trial, and the first thing that comes out, like, "This is Kevin over here, and he's accused of abusing his child," I'm going to go, "Fuck that dude." Like, even if I might even afterwards go,
They
"You know what?
actually
Let's hear him out."
they will dismiss you. If
But
you
they won't
tell
know
them like,
that.
"Hey, like fuck that guy."
My point-
They'll dismiss you. They'll say, "Hey, you're biased."
But I'm never going to say that. I'm saying about my thoughts.
That's what you're.
My point is,
Okay, in that
is
situation, you're
my
expected
point
to
is
be.
that you're right. The attempt is to have an unbiased jury, but in reality, there's always some bias because we all have lives and we all have something to compare it to. And even if I don't know that, even if it's day 27 of this trial, right, and they finally come out and say something like, "Oh yeah, like the killer wore glasses," and I'm like, "Fuck, man, I was abused by a dude in glasses. Fuck him." Like I don't even know that sometimes. I just think that. My point is that there isn't really an unbiased jury. I think we do the best attempt we can at getting someone unbiased, but in reality, we all have biases, and whether we decide to admit them or not is different.
Doesn't that make everything flawed though?
Yes, that's my point.
There is no consistency.
That's why I think when I asked you this original question was, what would you do to change it? The whole trial by jury thing, I don't like that. It's a jury of your peers that are supposed to be unbiased. Do you know any of your peers that are unbiased? Do you know any of your peers being people that you know, right? Or people in your community that are unbiased? People in our community of southern New Mexico and Las Cruces are going to be biased against the similar city in fucking Utah that's maybe super white, or Wyoming or Iowa, wherever white people are from, Whitesville, like that. You know what I mean? There's going to be bias. The Hispanic community is going to be like, they don't understand. The white community is going to be like, they don't understand. It doesn't matter. There really isn't an unbiased, like, we're all biased.
Yep.
That's my point. The real progressive person that's trying to be better will go, "Hey, I know I'm biased about this. I acknowledge it, and I'm going to make a conscious effort to not be that." The worst scenario you can have is someone that doesn't even know they're biased and will convince you they're not. That's dangerous because you can put someone in jail that doesn't deserve to be there, maybe, not that you had a trial, or you can let someone be free that doesn't deserve to be free. And so that's why I think we all need to look at ourselves and try our best to understand, hey, this isn't my thing. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe if we're all honest, we can go in and go, "Hey, you don't need to question me. I can tell you right off the bat I'm biased about these things, and I'm out." And maybe they'll let me go. Or maybe I can go, "Hey, I do have biases, but none of them pertain to this case. I think I'm good. I'm good to be on the jury." That'll never happen, but don't you think that'd be kind of cool if it could?
Yeah, I think it would be cool, but the human mind. All right, what am I trying to say here?
Life is like a box
If you
of
think about
chocolates.
Okay, when you think about biases and opinions, so we're all individuals, right? The whole world is full of people, and each one of those people are very unique. There's not one that's the same. So who's to say that this set like list of rules applies to everybody, right? So if you think about it, okay, let's talk about something that's not going to be terribly offensive to people. Let's talk about
Do you have any biases?
the grammar police, right? You got
Ooh.
people that you're scrolling.
Social justice.
You're scrolling across social media and you're scrolling through, and somebody says "your," and you're like, "That's your." What the frickin'
That doesn't bother
apostrophe-
me that much
the
because I
apostrophe
think
goes
they're
here.
right.
But okay, but nevertheless, they're still passing a message to you,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they put the wrong apostrophe somewhere, but they still got the message across to you. So are they wrong? Yes, because somebody at some point in time who is a different human, who has their own individuality and their own way of doing things, said that, hey, we should make it this way, and this apostrophe should indicate that this word is this and whatever. So yeah, they set that rule, and then this person over here learns that rule, and that person over there learns it a different way.
Yeah.
And then they communicate with them and they get it wrong, and this person's like, you suck at grammar, like you suck, like you can't even write correctly. And they're like, but you understood what I meant to say. So universally you were able to communicate, but you were trained to do that a certain way. Now the world is changing in a way where all the things that you and I thought were normal and were okay, they're changing now, right? I mean, that applies to so many things.
Definitely not grammar though. That's pretty much
Grammar is
universal.
supposed to be a good like happy medium subject.
I get what you're saying. So what is we talked about a grammar now. Are you just referring to people that maybe do things that you don't agree with?
I'm saying that everybody's different, and what's going to end up making a difference is majority rule.
Yeah, I think that that's part of the issue of what's going on now, which is the majority of people are on social media. So it's very easy to put out one thing that goes viral and it gains majority opinion because it's what you know. If I know zero about a subject, let's pick something random like coffee tables. If I don't know anything about the history of coffee tables, and someone comes up to me and says, I know about coffee tables, the best coffee tables are wooden. The ones that are stone are terrible because they warp. And you want the wooden ones because they don't warp. Now, if you really dive into that, that doesn't make sense to me because wood warps, not stone. But it doesn't matter. This person's an expert. They just said that. That's my only opinion I have. I know I don't have one. So I'm going to tell everyone I now meet that you need to get the wooden one, right?
Because it doesn't work, yeah.
Yeah. So I would just say that, right?
But you're basing that off of somebody and not actual facts. You don't know the molecular structure of
But
this
my
table.
point is, you sometimes
but you're
take it
talking
aside.
about,
So
like,
if there's a
this
social
person
media
influenced
post,
me.
a social media post that goes viral, you assume it's kind of facts, even though it's not. Now, if it's a person, you can kind of assume that maybe it's not. But let's say it's not. Let's say it's an actual website. It's an actual website about I don't even know, famous magazine that has a website, and they posted it. And so now I'm going around looking for this thing that maybe doesn't matter at all, or maybe it's wrong. But what I'm saying is it's easy to put out an idea if you are a reputable source, or at least perceive that way, and then the idea will take off as a real one. And that's part of the issue is people don't. I like people that question it. On this podcast, anytime people
That's what the world needs.
when people go, hey, I don't know if I agree with that, or what do you mean by that, or like, but do you think about this? People that question me, I don't get upset about it. I don't think that I'm not that prideful to. I'm like, what? You're gonna ask me? I know. No,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Wait, okay, I consider that because I enjoy that. And if you're wrong, I'll tell you you're wrong, and people get to decide whether they feel that. But to not speak about it, I think that needs to go away. You should speak up. You should say, hey, I don't agree with this. Like if someone asks me about that table and I go, hey, in my mind, I don't think fucking stone warps. So the person that told me get the wood one because it doesn't warp, I think that's silly because if anything's going to warp, I think it should be wood. That should be my opinion. And maybe people go like, that's a good point. Like I think that I have the right to say that, and I think people should be thinking outside the box enough to not be stubborn enough to go, no, that site's way more reputable than you. I'm going to trust them.
But the mass majority of people will take sides based off of popularity.
Yes.
And what you're trying to tell me is that you encourage people to say, hey, not including popularity, like listen to the facts on this matter and have your own opinion, and then voice those opinions so people can have a chance to rebut or to have a discussion with you about it. So
I just think we don't ask enough questions. Can you remember?
Who's wrong? So who's right and who's wrong in a situation?
The wrong person
where
is the one who agree with something that they know nothing about.
I agree with you.
The
do.
right
100%.
person, whatever their opinion is, the right person is the one that took the time to ask questions and do a tiny bit of research before you even remotely acknowledged it. And even when acknowledging it, you kind of admit that maybe you don't know everything. Let's take it back to high school, middle school, whenever were rumors. Let's talk about rumors. Rumors are really important. I can think specifically in high school. And I use a random name. We'll go with fucking Sarah. I don't know. I'm just making up a name. Yeah, someone comes up to you in high school like, dude, I fucking heard Sarah's a whore. What do you do when you see your buddy? Dude, did you hear about Sarah? I heard she's a whore, shooked up with fucking Ted. You know what I mean? And like they repeat that. That everyone just goes off that. And now when you see Sarah in the hallway, you're like, Sarah's a fucking whore. Never met Sarah. I don't even know her. I don't have a class with her. I know who she is because everyone started this rumor about her. But now I'm just going off this thing. Isn't that detrimental? In reality, maybe one dude tried to hook up with Sarah. She didn't want to put it out, and so he told everyone she's a whore. But now we're just running with this idea because I forgot to ask Sarah. I forgot to get both sides of the story. I forgot to fact check. I forgot to use my own opinion. I forgot to mix in some of theirs and come up with my own idea. I am part of the problem if I'm the one running around telling people Sarah's a whore. That's my point, is you can't run with ideas. The right person, maybe I do my research. Maybe I talk to Sarah, and she's like, well, I did like suck his dick, but that was it. And I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, why did you do that? She's like, I don't know. It's like my 10th dick this week, and like, I just really wanted money.
Now you know.
I really wanted money, and like, fuck him. Like, I would go, oh, Sarah is a whore. You know what I mean? And at least it doesn't matter.
You know firsthand.
Or maybe I talked to Sarah, and Sarah says no. Like, he came to my house. I never really liked him, but I kind of thought I liked him, and he showed up, and he like was pushy with me, and I told him that I didn't want to have sex with him, and he said that everyone has sex with him. Why wouldn't I? I'm no one. And then I decided not to, and now maybe she says that, and then I go talk to him, and he says, no, F that, da 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 da, and I go, wait a minute, like I've seen this before. I feel like Ted's lying, and I believe Sarah. No matter what my outcome is, at least I took the time to figure it out. Maybe I don't talk to either of them, and I just simply admit I don't know. And I just don't say anything. All those things are right. But if I'm just following a flow, even if I end up being right in that same scenario earlier where she ended up being a whore anyways, doesn't make me right. What did I do? What did I do to contribute to that conversation? Nothing. I just ran with something that someone popular told me, and I took it to a place it shouldn't have gone. That's my point. The right person is a person who took the time to figure it out, regardless of what his outcome is. He took the time. I think I could respect that.
I hope a lot of people watch this and understand that for what it is. So at this point in time, considering what you just said, where do you stand whenever you're out there in social media? Let's say you're
like rumors.
No, not rumors. Just even like big topics, like politics or like pop culture, anything like celebrities being caught up in some bullshit. Like,
what's my stance on it?
No, okay, so for example, like me, I scroll through social media. I'm on social media daily. I don't spend. There's a use for it, and I use it for what I need it for. But I don't spend like tons of time on it, just sitting there like basking in everything that social media has to offer. But I constantly run across stuff that I have a very specific opinion on.
Yes.
And I see something, and I'm like, hey, well, hold on. And I see something, and I read it, and I'm like, this person is obviously an idiot because they don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because if they did understand it, then it would go this way, blah, blah, blah. And you know, I'm sorry, I'm keeping this very basic and very generic. But so then I get there, and I'm like, well, hold on. Like, this is what you, like, why do you say that when you don't understand this and you don't understand that? And then it goes into a back and forth heated argument. Now, that happens enough times to where now I see something pop up and I'm like, here's my opinion. And I start typing out this nasty message about how I feel that contradicts what they said.
Yeah.
And then I get to a point at the end where I'm like, this will fall on deaf ears because this person I'm communicating with is an idiot to this topic. So I backspace it all and I delete it and I just keep scrolling. Like,
so
have you ever been in that? So that, like, at what point do you say, hey, bro, get educated? Or do you say, hey, you're an idiot, let's fight? Or do you say, I'm right, you're wrong, I don't want to offer you any explanation as to why? Like, where do you sit? Do you engage with them in hopes that you're going to change their mind?
No.
Do you engage with them in hopes that you're going to start a fight and you guys can just, like, get out some sort of bravado, machado, like let's fight, or are you just like,
I don't.
I'm not
care.
going to communicate with an idiot because it's not going to get anywhere?
Well, first of all, I don't think they're an idiot. If someone says something I don't think, maybe it's idiotic, I don't go, that person's an idiot. I usually go, he said something that I feel is idiotic or doesn't make sense to me. And so I don't usually engage in stuff like that. And I'll give you the perfect example because I'm a victim of this. So I got to a point where I had to change my thinking. There's a video that I posted on this channel, one of my first videos. I actually removed the comment, and I'm kind of ashamed that I did that. I've talked to a friend about it since then, and they told me, dude, you should have left that. And I said, you know what? You're right. Someone commented on one of my old videos before I was doing the podcast, when I was just doing funny videos. I posted it on Reddit. He was trying to promote it. And he came over and watched the video. And this guy, a social troll, decided that he was going to post on there and talk about, he pretty much said, can't believe I found this video. Wasted my time. You need to work on your personality. You're not that funny. And my first thought was like, God, I'm so fucking funny if this guy knew. And I thought about it. And then I thought the opposite, which is maybe I'm not as funny as I think I am.
Maybe he doesn't see you as funny, and that's only his opinion.
So here's the thing: is I felt like I didn't want people to see it. I felt like I didn't have a huge following, anyways, and it would really hurt my. I thought too much about what other people would think about, and I removed it. And then I went on to stop doing videos. Other things happened as well, but then I started realizing, like, dude, if I'm gonna do videos online, I'm gonna have to get used to people having those opinions. So to answer your question, if someone were to do that, or if there's something I don't believe in, first of all, if it's kind of silly, then I'll leave it alone. The only time I've ever engaged was on a gym post. I'm part of this group on Facebook called Gym Addicts, which I highly recommend if anyone wants to add to that group. The people post their transformations, and essentially somebody posted up a picture of themselves, and he was really overweight, and then the after picture was him still overweight but less. You know what I mean?
Of course.
But it was enough that it was noticeable, right?
Yeah.
And everyone commented on it, and I was reading it, and I cared that people, like, first of all, that is vulnerable for him to even post up a picture of himself in general, right? And I've seen plenty of pictures where there's a before and after, and they look the same, and I go, I'll leave that one alone. I don't know if he's working out that hard. This guy for sure made progress, but was still not his best self. And someone had posted on there pretty much saying, like, hey, man, I'm tired of seeing people post stuff like this. If you have a goal, have a goal. I think you want to be positive, but don't be posting stuff like this until you complete your goal. You obviously haven't put that much effort in. You're not to where you want to be, so what is there to be proud of? Take this shit down. And he pretty much posted that. And I normally don't engage in that, and regardless of my feelings, all I posted back, I said, hey, brother, I don't think you should have posted this, but I respect you putting your opinion. This guy's putting in work. He's obviously in better shape in the other picture than he was in the first one. Just keep in mind, we're all on our own journeys. His journey may not be your journey, but you need to respect that he's on his own. Much love to you. I hope you find what you're looking for. And that was it. And I brought it from a place of kindness. I could have been like, you piece of I could have looked at his profile and found something wrong with him. Dude, your nipples are inverted. Your fucking left shoulders, like, whatever. I could have made, dude, your fucking hairline's jacked up. Why even? I could have clowned him.
But he could have also have motivated the other person to do more.
I don't think that's motivating. I think
it's not. That's definitely demeaning for sure.
He's taking someone that's when do we shame progress? When is that okay? The answer is never, because progress isn't perfection, but it's a step towards it. And why would you look at someone that's walking in the right direction and remind them of the other direction, right? No, they're already doing that. What are you trying to do? Shut up. That's my point. If you can't, maybe you're that person. Hey, I don't know how to encourage someone to do something they haven't achieved yet. You're either doing it or you don't. I respect that. So shut up. Don't say anything. But definitely don't say, hey, you're not that great. Why even try? Don't say, what's the point of that, dude? You're either encouraging him or don't fucking post, dude. Leave that dude alone.
Keep scrolling.
Yes, because at the end of the day, what are my words doing to help this person? If the answer is nothing, then shut up. Like, why did he have to write that? Mm-hmm. Do you think the reality is it made him feel better because he was in better shape than that guy. Probably not his best shape, but for whatever reason, writing to that guy, he justified it as being like, you have to use the restroom?
Yep.
Do it. You're good. He justified it as, I'm helping encourage this person to be a better version of themselves. But in reality, all he's really doing is feeding his own ego, which is, hey, I feel powerful or good about myself when I remind people of this. And I think that's terrible. I don't think you should ever take any sort of process or any sort of journey that someone's on and go, it's not the way I would do it, so it's wrong. And I definitely don't think you should post it up for the world to see, because there's other assholes in the world that will chime in on that, because people believe popular opinion. And if one asshole posts a comment that gets a bunch of likes, everyone thinks that that's the right thing. Nobody scrolls. If there's 1,000 comments on a YouTube video or anything, no one scrolls to the original one. They're going to go with the popular one that shows up in the front. And if that popular one says, you fat fuck, you're not really where you want to be, then everyone's going to jump on that train, that very, very wrong train that you created because you're insecure about the person that you are. That's how I feel about it. If you want to encourage someone, do it in the right way. You wouldn't talk to your mother that way. And if you hate your mom, you wouldn't talk to your father that way. If you hate your father, whoever you love, whether it's a friend, the person you're with, who cares? Your coworker, your boss, artist, musician, whoever you admire, you wouldn't speak to them that way. So why would you speak to a stranger that way? Other than the fact that you can probably get away with it. That's my only point, is try to be authentic, and authentically yourself isn't doing those things that you wouldn't do to the people you care about, because this person is someone that is cared about by someone, and you shouldn't publicly do that. Even if it was my friend and that was my real criticism, I don't think I would publicly post up a criticism like that if it was to a friend. I just don't think I would.
What's the world going to be like tomorrow?
The world?
As far as all of this goes. I think a lot of the things that you were talking about, and I might have missed a little bit of the tail end of that.
Talking to the mic.
Tomorrow's normal may not be the same as today's. So what if the majority of people, there's 6 billion people on this planet? What if 5.5 billion people all agree that being overweight is bad and that you should be shamed for it? Then all of a sudden that's the new okay.
I think being overweight is bad. But hear me out.
That's not the point. The point of that piece is, what about tomorrow's normal? So today, your opinion about everything in life is all based off of your personal experience. But as time goes on, people change, society changes. I can probably paint another picture on that whole subject. Look at millennials, and look at even the youngest crowd that's growing up now, right? Mm-hmm. They're listening to music that may be a little bit different than what you used to listen to. But when we were kids, what did our grandparents and our parents say? They said, this is garbage. You guys listen to a bunch of new garbage. Well, now here we are thinking that the music that we listened to in the 90s and 2000s, whatever, is like good music. And then the new music coming out in 2019 and 2020 is garbage. Like, what's the new norm? What's the new norm going to be like?
I don't know what the new norm is going to be like. I really don't.
But what if it affects your opinion now?
It might, and that's the beauty of life and going to different places.
But are you going to just like plant your feet down?
No, it won't change how I approach people. I approach people with kindness, and I try to approach people with understanding. And regardless if it's music, health, whatever it is, that's my stance on things. Look, it's this weird thing, going back to the health thing. And when I said that, I just want to clarify my comments, because I don't want anyone getting upset at me. And I know that's, again, we're talking about this. The people that watch you are like, what do you mean being overweight's bad? I'm not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying I'm like, no one, who cares? We should all accept people the way they are, but there's nothing wrong with being healthy. Nobody would sit here and say to a smoker, what you're doing is fine. People need to love you the way you are. There's this huge thing going around. Hey, you're polluting your lungs. You're putting smoke in your lungs. You're going to die. Do you want to die before you have kids? Or if you have kids, do you want to die before they get to see their father or mother grow up? Everyone would get on board with that. You should not smoke. It's a health hazard. Well, being overweight is also a health hazard. I'm not saying you should shame someone that's overweight, but wanting that person to be healthy, there's nothing wrong with that. I am considered overweight. I'm considered obese. I really am. With my BMI mass index, I know even beyond
my BMI says I'm overweight too. But
here's the thing. Beyond that, I know that I'm not my healthiest. And if someone encouraged me to be healthy, encourage is the key word, not shame me. Encourage me to be healthy. There's nothing wrong with that person. There's this weird societal thing. If we could physically see it, then you're rude and you're a bully.
If I
mention to someone that asks me for help, hey, I don't feel so good about my body, and I go, hey, you are a little bit overweight, but I can help you, they go, why would you even say that? No, like, I hate that. You should be healthy. Whatever that means to you, you should be healthy. And if you're healthy,
be an individual.
You should want to live long. right? That's it.
Of course.
And think about the smoker thing, right? It's so easy to shame a smoker, and the person smoking always has to go, yeah, I know, I want to quit, I'm aware of it. They don't get mad, like, how dare you shame me? Smoking a cigarette
is sexy.
Come here, fellow smokers. Let's all get together. Did you hear what this person just told me? I should quit smoking? Are you out of your mind?
Quick, get
He doesn't
him.
love me for who I am. Nobody. That would never happen. But if someone fat shamed or mentioned that someone's overweight, they're immediately talked to about, like, you're an asshole, you're a bully, you don't care about them, who they are. Look, I don't think you should go out and be rude. I don't think you should use the word fat unless it's in a positive way if you're referring to literal fat or fats you need in your diet. But I'm saying it is okay to want to be healthier, and it's okay to want your friends to be healthier. It's okay to want your family to be healthier.
And you believe that.
I 100% believe
that. But what about the
people should be
person that's like, wait, what? Why do I want to live forever? I want to get to the afterlife quick as possible because that's where all the fun happens.
Oh, well, then we got a whole nother story there.
But the point is,
if there's a person that says I want to get faster
different.
to death in life, then there's a whole nother thing there.
Everybody has a different outlook on everything. Some people think
I know that.
Some people that thinking that being thick is a desirable thing. Some people think that showing bones
being thick is a desirable thing. I think we're confusing.
That's your opinion. But some people think that having freaking ribs
shape. Yes.
And having your bones showing is a desirable thing.
All that
and then
stuff
some people
is not
think
what
that
I'm referring to.
Ripped muscle is a desirable thing. They're all different.
Body types, genetics, some of those things are. Have you ever seen someone that's in shape? Have you seen a lineup of 100 people that would be considered in shape? They don't all look the same. Some people have wider hips. Some people have shorter hips. Some people have bigger shoulders, smaller shoulders. Some people Some people have like six packs that are popping out. Some people have flat stomachs. Same thing with women. Some people have big butts, small butts. Look, that's a genetic preference. Like, my only thing is be healthy. I'm not saying go be a supermodel. And I'm not
Why
saying,
would you want to be healthy though?
Because you want to live forever. Because the people around you deserve a person that's alive.
I think that it's only appropriate to want to live forever if your life is desirable.
Is your life not desirable if you have someone that loves you?
Look back when we were kids, right?
Yes.
And life was shit. Do you agree that we had some shitty experiences?
For sure.
What if your long life that you just wanted to preach about, the long, long life, the healthy life where you're consuming your vegetables and your vitamins and you're going to live to be 98, right? What if that time between now and the time that you reach 98 is filled with those shit experiences that you had when you're younger? That's not a desirable situation to be in. Wouldn't you rather just live a short life where you have tons and tons of really great, memorable, fun times than live a long life where you're just like miserable? So what I'm saying is there's going to be a variance in perception, right? Some people think that living healthy, going through your whole life just eating raw vegetables and vitamins, whatever, you're living your whole life, and then next thing you know, you're old and you're healthy still. But did you focus on having fun? Did you really enjoy your life to the fullest? I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm like, do I need to have a freaking massive six-pack and just be shredded to be happy? No, I don't give a shit about that. I want to do the things that I want to do.
Healthy and healthier are very different. What I'm saying is you should always want to be healthier. You may never get to your version of what you think health is. And maybe your version of health isn't having a six-pack. But if you had children, don't you think they deserve to have their father around?
I think my children deserve to have the life that they enjoy having, whatever that means for them. And this is going to be where all the controversy comes out. People are going to have different opinions.
Well, to answer your original question, if someone came up to me and said what you said, if someone said that response and they're like, hey man, I'm overweight because I actually don't enjoy my life and I want to get to death closer. First of all, I'd be taken back, like, that's some real shit. Like, that's the realest shit I've ever heard. Like, you know what I mean? And I think I would have a different response to that. It would immediately go to like, well, why do you feel that way? And I would care a little bit more. But that's not what people typically do. Let's be honest. You're talking about something that's a little bit out there. Maybe that happens. For the most part, people go, accept me the way I am. That's all I'm saying.
So let's use you and I as good examples because we're both here and we can vouch for ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm a car guy. I love cars. That's my shit. My day job literally consists of working on cars. And then my free time and my extracurriculars include working on cars, okay? So cars are my thing.
Yeah.
What's yours? You have your day job, and then a lot of time, and this, correct me if I'm wrong, you're a fitness person. You like to do fitness. You enjoy being healthy and doing fitness stuff. So at the end of our lives, when we're on our deathbeds, whatever time that is for us, who lived the better life? Did I live a better life than you because I didn't work out as much, but maybe I enjoyed cars a little bit better? But you actually were at the gym for, a lot of hours every week.
But I don't feel like it's a burden. I get what you're saying. I don't think it would matter.
The quality of life is different for you than it is for me.
But you're not complaining. I think you need to take yourself out of the scenario, because I've never once...
So it all comes down to happiness.
I've never heard you go like, I really want... Because you're in a relationship. I've never once heard you, I really want to get a relationship, but I don't feel comfortable in my body. I really think that like I'm being bullied because of the way I look. I don't think I've ever heard you say that. If anything, I've made jokes to you and you like laugh and enjoy those jokes. So I don't think that you're part of that. I think that you found a place where you are healthier, or at least to a place where you're going to be. But I'm saying to the people that think, accept me the way I am and don't make any comments and conform to my way of life, I'm saying, if it bothers you, right? Like if I say a joke to you and you don't care about it, or it's not true, then you laugh. But if I say something that is true and it hurts your feelings and it comes out differently, if that's the issue and you have an issue with this thing and you know that it's affecting your way of living, if you're huffing and puffing when you walk to a place, you can't play with your kids because you're not in shape. When I say like overweight, like maybe you're not overweight, maybe you just don't have good physicality and you can't play sports with your kids, the things that you desire to do. Either don't complain about it or change it. That's it. But people that complain and say like, oh, like, people need to accept me the way that I am. Do you accept the way that you are? And if the answer is yes, then maybe the world does too. But if the answer is no, then change it.
I think the bottom line here should be, live your life to where you're the happiest that you could possibly be with yourself and with the life that you chose to live. So multi-billionaire moguls that are like spend their whole lives just like trading stocks and just owning properties and just being like massive rich. They've got liquid money where they can just do anything and everything. Like if you can think it, they can do it because they can afford it. Now take that person and that scenario and compare it to a guy that maybe averaged 25 or 30K his whole life, right? But that person liked to, write music or produce beats or work on cars or do anything else. And that person just had a great life. At the end of life, like, man, that shit was cool. Like, yeah, maybe the world won't remember me for like conquering a country or something. But this person probably lived a higher quality life than the guy that spent 60 to 80% of his time trying to accumulate more funding. It's like,
I get what you're saying. Like the journey matters.
I don't know
like,
if the quality of happiness.
But what if the guy acquiring? People always have this thing about rich people aren't happy because, maybe there's something else they're doing. So you're talking about where you end up. If the journey was worth it, then it was cool. But if you spent your whole life doing something you never really got, then maybe that's not cool. I agree with your sentiment, which is be happy. That's what you're saying.
Be happy.
What's the point in doing something that doesn't make you happy? But maybe doing some of these things do make you happy and you're just scared of them. Maybe in the situation the person's overweight, going to the gym will make you happy, but you're just scared to do it. My only point is, as human beings, do we just let that go? Or do we let them, or say something that maybe encourages them to go? Maybe we say something to get them out of their own way so they can actually be happy instead of hearing them talk about how unhappy they are. That goes the same way with money. Someone that doesn't achieve money or someone that doesn't work hard in their field. It goes the same thing towards almost any ambitious person. You ever have a friend that talks about their dreams when they're drinking usually or coked out of their mind?
And you're like, dude, just do it.
Dude, and I'm like, what have you done? All the time I see people partying like, dude, I'm going to I always wanted to do this and I'm like going to get this and I'm going to have these real estates and I'm like, what are you doing to make that happen other than talk about it all the time? Every time I know you, all you do is talk about it. What are you doing about it? If you're putting in action and making effort, then I'm okay with that. Even if they don't achieve it, I think they should be okay with that too. If you spent your whole life working towards something you love and it didn't happen, you're a beast. And you showed everyone around you that you didn't give up and you tried your hardest. Because we all know it's a gamble. And we all want to hear the story where it does work out. But the stories where it don't work out are just as powerful. The point of it is you still try, put in the effort. It sometimes doesn't work.
Did you go out smiling though? That's
those things are important is all I'm saying. It's that's just how I feel about it, man. I don't have a lot of place in my life for people that complain, don't do anything about it, and also won't answer. They won't listen to answers. I don't like that. I really don't.
And I've noticed over the last few years, you and I are brothers, so we know each other a lot more than some people that just
Yeah.
maybe came along recently, and I've noticed a change in you. I've noticed that you used to be that guy online that would just, he'd get online and he would just make people laugh, and he had a massive amount of followers and all that stuff. It was cool and all, but then lately I've noticed that you've kind of pulled back a lot, and I have too. I don't really. I mean, you can read the numbers, and there's still a lot of people there, but I don't interact with them like I used to, because that's not where I need to be happy. I'm on other things already.
Yeah.
You can sit there and spend all your time online just arguing with people, or you can try to live a life. And right now I'm focusing on living my life. I've already had enough shit in my past to where I can say, you know what? That's behind me. Let's figure out what's going on from here on. And I spend a lot of time doing the things that I want to do, I'm never gonna get to a point where I can have unlimited everything, but that's not what makes me happy. What makes me happy is the journey getting there, like putting up that fight. Like, hey, I want this soon, so let me see, what do I got to do to get there, and I fight for it, and I get there, and I see that you have pulled back a little bit from dealing with a ton of people, and now you're focusing on what things mean. And I don't know what that is for you, because I'm not there.
Yeah.
But I know that you're looking for something a little bit different than
I
just.
feel like I ran out of battles, if that makes sense. Like, I don't have a lot of battles that I want to fight. I don't have a lot of things I'm willing to die on the hill for. I think I'm at a place in my life where I'm willing to hear other people's thoughts, and I feel like I'm willing to give my opinions at the with the agreement that you will also give yours back, and I'm willing to learn and grow. I think I started realizing that, like, the way I felt about stuff isn't law. Like, it's my way of living. But I remember a time when I was fighting a lot, or just arguing with people, or being on my high horse. I came from a place of like, hey, this got me to where I'm at, so it must be right. Mm-hmm. And I went preaching that, and like, that doesn't feel good to me. It didn't get me any place. It definitely didn't move me. It didn't move me back, not literally, but it didn't move me forward either. I just stayed stagnant. And so I'm at a place where I realized, God, I just turned 30. I have these amazing experiences. I have these amazing friends. I have this amazing relationship. I have this amazing brother. I have a mom that at one point probably did a few things that are amazing, I'm sure. I don't fucking know. But I know that we have an amazing sister that we reconnected with recently, that lives out in Indianapolis. We have amazing little brother that recently came back into our life. And then I think about my foster family. I have an amazing foster sister that I consider my real sister, that recently I have like a really good relationship. And I realized, like, damn, I've been holding out on this relationship with her because I felt like I could still get that from other people, and it didn't add up. And you know what I mean? I think I have this thing where I'm like, I wait. I feel the same thing about, and I'll just say her name, Yvonne, who's my adoptive mom. She's not my foster mom. She adopted me. I feel personally guilty. And I know this is kind of going off talking about me real quick, but I want you to understand this about me. I feel guilty because I feel like I robbed her of the opportunity to have me as her son. And I feel like she would admit to some things as well. But I think that part of me, as a 30-year-old man, still waits for my biological mother to step up. That I think that I always saved a spot in my heart for her, for our mom. That I kind of blocked out Yvonne, and I never really gave her a chance. Whether she earned it or not, which she did, regardless of that, I never gave it to her anyways. Even if she was great. I always say that. You could have done X, Y, and Z to be better. Maybe those are true. But has she done X, Y, and Z? Would she had a shot? Probably not. I think my heart is being held hostage by a mother. And so I missed out on an opportunity to have a relationship with her because that spot was already being saved for someone else. I missed out on an opportunity to have a relationship with Kaylee, Caden, Daryl, other people in my life because they're saved for people like my mom, our dad who passed away, other shitty people in our lives that didn't deserve it. And so when you ask me how I am, what's different, why is there a funny will that's joking to the world, and why is this world that's asking questions, is because I realized my world wasn't good and I want it to be better. And there's no way I'm going to make my world better off the way I see things because it's staying the same. I'm going to understand and give the opportunity to other people. If mom doesn't want to step up and be that person, maybe you can be that person. Maybe Yvonne can, maybe Kaylee can, maybe a stranger that I haven't met yet can, maybe Laura can, maybe someone else can. I just think that it's important to have the ability to go, hey, I want to learn more than I'm teaching. And that's where I'm at today. I want to take in more information than I'm giving out.
That's good. That's whenever you reach a point where, okay, a listener is always going to be a little bit more enlightened than a speaker. Obviously, because I mean, you reach a point in your life where you're like, yeah, I have an opinion, I know things, I've learned things, blah 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 blah. Here they are, and then
Yeah.
you reach a point soon after where you're like, well, maybe I should just stop and listen,
Yeah.
more than anything else. And that's what I'm doing now, and I think that's what you're doing. But man, I don't think the world's gonna go back to the way things were ever.
No.
It's definitely moving in a different direction. But I've reached a point now where I take my time to watch and learn and understand people. I want to understand people. I literally spend a lot of time trying to figure out what it is that makes that person have that opinion. Like, why do they strongly believe in what they believe in? And then you ask them, like, why do you believe that? And then they give you their, and then hopefully maybe that'll enlighten you on what's going through their mind. And I'm always going to be the same person that I am now. There's nothing that's going to change about that. I'm always going to be the person that went through the foster system, went through prison and all that stuff. So there's not going to be much that's going to be changed in me. But I do want to know what everybody else is thinking. I do want to know why they feel so strongly about their topic, about whatever it is they believe in. And I think it's interesting and it's very enticing to try to like burrow deeper into those subjects. And
Do you feel like you've done that today? Because I feel like you have. I feel like you. There's parts of you where like I can tell that you're trying to learn stuff, and there's parts of you that are like kind of solid on the way that you believe. But I don't think. I think that you should be severely proud of who you are as a human being, and I think both of us,
100%.
including our siblings, should be really happy that we've made it to the place that we've made it, given the shitty hand of cards that we got when we were kids. That's all I'm saying. Is I don't think there's a place where we go that way, and we're only going up, and I'm okay with that. I'm
okay
happy with
I'm
being
okay
better
with
than
where
I
I
was
ended up,
yesterday.
and I'm eager to know what the next 5 years have like for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, most of the pain and suffering is gone. It's behind us now. We chalk it up to experience, and here we are. But the next 5 years seems a lot more interesting because it's in front of us, and the world's changing so quickly. It's a crazy subject to be on.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna have my crazy thoughts. I'm still gonna have my experiences. I'm still gonna have my interests and my needs and my wants, but nevertheless, I'm eager to see what the next generation has.
Will look
for
like.
us.
Here's so the end of every show we do an anonymous confession, which I already picked one out for me and you. Before we get to that though, which we'll end the show with that. Real quick, are you staring at the camera again, weirdo?
I'm sitting straight
All right.
because my leg got tired.
Hey, real quick,
Okay.
before I read the anonymous confession, I want to give you the platform and opportunity. Is there any other things? If someone's listening to this podcast, I think that you talked about a lot. We talked about our childhood. You talked about prison. We talked about everything. Is there any last things that you can think of that you go, hey, I want to make sure that people at least know this about me? Or is there any other things that you want people to understand before we get into the anonymous confession?
About me?
Anything. It could be anything. Yeah. Prison, you, me, life. Is there any final words of wisdom or silly things that you have in your head?
The only thing I can think of saying right now is, what do you think?
Damn, bro, that's deep as fuck. All right, I'm gonna take that as a let's go to the confession. So this is an anonymous confession, and here it goes, Collin. It says, I hate my mom. What do you think? I'm just kidding. What if that was the confession?
I was like,
All right, hold on.
and?
No, I was just fucking with
I
you.
was like, okay, that's a rookie. Okay, and then what?
Details. All right, it says, I hate my mom. She treats me like an idiot if I don't do my homework, gets upset when I ask her for help, and doesn't let me spend my money how I want. She tells my sister that her hobbies are cool and constantly supports her with it. But if I have a hobby, it's either non-constructive enough or she won't support me in the same way. She'll buy my sister materials for her craft projects, but won't buy any for mine. I know she hates me, and especially today. That's all it says.
I feel like that person that wrote that might have already have done some damage.
What advice would you give someone that said that? And when she says school, I think I picture college because like I'm taking classes, but it could be a high school kid. Let's think of that, or even younger.
I did think of high school or younger.
Okay, that's what came to your head. So what advice would you give this person that's having obviously a sibling rivalry and they think their mom hates him because she notices the mom giving special treatment to maybe the sister that
I mean, as the writer, I think that's kind of a bad spot to be in because they're still developing. They're probably younger, and I mean, if your mom was choosing your like, if our mom was choosing me over you, and we were 55 years old, like really, like
But
okay, at that
let's
point
say we
like,
weren't though.
So I'm assuming that these people are younger. The person that wrote this is much younger, and it's sad because they're at a point in their lives where that stuff means a lot, but they've probably already painted a certain picture in their mom's mind. So they probably already have either been known to be a certain way.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not terribly successful in school. Maybe they're not great at whatever it is that they chose to follow. And maybe...
Well, I think you're breaking down what she might be. What advice would you give this person if you're
It's a
literally...
she, huh?
It's a girl. And what would you tell her? What's the first step? It's a tough one. While you're thinking about it, here's how I think about it. I think that this person has a sibling rivalry. If I was literally talking to a person, I'm going to assume it's a high school girl because I think that's the next step down from what I was thinking, which was a college girl. So it's a sibling rivalry. They feel this way about their mom. The first thing I should say is that's probably not this person's fault. I feel like parents do favor a kid. And if you ever ask a parent, who's your favorite kid? What do they say? I don't have one. Or if they're really fucked up, they say, it's her. Which maybe this mom did one of those two things. I don't know. But all I know is at the end of the day, parents do have favorite kids. And I think whether they say it or not, it comes out in their actions. And so I think that this person should understand that your mom probably does favor your sister, but also understand that your mom probably doesn't understand life as well as you do. And it's okay to be the smarter person. You shouldn't have to be as the child. We should never have to parent our parents. But every now and then you have to be the wiser person and let them know, hey, mom, I'm starting to realize you're giving special treatment to my sister, and I admire her too. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But I'm just saying that you also have another kid, and I have these strengths, and it would really, really help me if you can support me with these things. Now, this person, obviously, doesn't live in a perfect world, so I'm going to assume that they don't have the ability to go talk to mom about this. My advice to this person, literally, would be get that validation from someone other than your mother. If dad's in the figure, talk to him about it. If you have a brother, talk to him. If you don't have that, find a friend. If you don't have a friend, talk to a school counselor. Someone that you can talk to about the way that you feel, and they can go, hey, these are your strengths. Because no matter how much of a piece of shit you think you are, even if you don't feel that way, something you are doing is great. And I think you need to find people or someone that can remind you of those things so that way you can remind yourself. So it allows you to not build that animosity between your sister, and allows you to be calm and patient enough with your mom to explain to her, this is who I am. And if you're not getting that from someone, aka a counselor, then it's going to be really hard because you're just going to try to explain to her how much you're not that. But if you know when you're getting that from someone else, it's very easy to objectively and calmly look at your mom, look at your sister, and say, hey, this is how it makes me feel. This is how I'm feeling. That's what I would advise to this person. Definitely don't get depressed. Like that's a thing you can just do, right? But what I literally mean by that is if you're getting depressed, step away from the situation, find someone else to talk to, and understand that it doesn't mean that you sabotage anything with your sister. It just simply means you have to be a parent to the situation, which isn't your job, but you might have to do that to make it better. What do you think?
I mean, that's kind of a difficult subject to be on.
I'm going to pull it up
when
again
you're
so I can read the
17
key
years old.
points, just so you can tell me your opinion. This person says, I hate my mom, which obviously shows that she's figured, that's an opinion that she's formed already. She treats me like an idiot, which means she's feeling certain things that she's done in the past. If I don't do my homework, I forgot about some of this stuff. That's why I wanted to say to you. Doesn't let me spend my money how I want to spend it. Tells my sister that her hobbies are cool. If I have a hobby, mine are dumb.
The problem there is the mom, for sure.
Project materials for her crafts, but won't do any for mine. What do you advise would you give this person?
That's not an easy one. The problem there is the mom should be a little bit more censored in how she
But what about buying
behaves in front of her
materials for
children.
the sister? That has nothing to do with censoring. That's
That's the mom being defective.
mm-hmm.
The mom, okay, as a parent, and I'm not saying that I'm a major expert in parenting because I don't have any children right now.
I think you're an expert in parenting because
But
you
you
know what
should-
not to do.
Yes.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
So you're not supposed to take sides. You're supposed to support both children or all children the same. So if one person wants to go this direction and one person wants to go completely opposite, support them both, because no matter what you tell them, they're going to do whatever it is that they feel is their destiny. So the person that wrote that might be considered, the outcast compared to the other person, the other sibling, right?
Mm-hmm.
The mom might say, oh no, this person has it all figured out. You're crazy. So the advice to give to the person that wrote that, it's difficult because I know they're young. I know that they're going to develop their own opinion on the world as time goes on. And then at some point in the near future, they're going to solidify everything and say, this is how I am now. But just continue following your heart. Do anything and everything that makes you happy, because nothing else is going to matter at the end. And you should try to convince your mother or your father, whoever it is, that no matter how they feel about you, you're always going to be you, and you're always going to love them for being your parent. And just try to be neutral, but also try to live your own life. And don't try to be influenced by somebody else's opinion about what you should be. That, like I said, that's a difficult topic to even comment on, because it does not. It's not the same for every person.
Yeah.
That scenario might be different for you and I as it would be for them, and then for the next person. There's no two that are the same. So how do you even give them an opinion? Like, tell them what you think about it.
Yeah, I guess the point of it is to get your opinion, really, like wrong or right.
Fair enough.
But I think you did a good job of explaining how you felt about it. And I'm cool with that. And if this person is listening, which they won't be because I pulled this offline to some people that never watch my podcast, then I hope she gets what she needs. Otherwise, I thought it was a really cool podcast. Did you enjoy your time? Would you do it again?
I would.
Okay.
Probably much earlier.
Well, it's still early. I love you, man. Thanks for coming by. Had a good time.
Love you, brother.
All right. Can we do like a weird, do we know a thing? Can we west side it?
Right there.
All right. There we go. That's pretty cool. This feels like I'm in that chapel group in prison.
You ever watch like